the whole thing was dying down. There's actually no point in this pulling this out. What they did was just like, when you're trying to clean the house, and instead of actually using something nice to like swipe away the dust, you're just using, whatever. The dust is just in the air. Why are you doing this? Better to just leave it there than do whatever the fuck they just did.
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals, bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Good vibe, train, yeah.
Oh, baby, we're back in business. Welcome to another episode of HLTV Confirmed, the final episode of 2023, Wednesday, the 27th of December, Christmas. It's done. New Year's is coming. And a quick shout out to our sponsors, 22bet. Remember to gamble responsibly. Tradeit.gg. Check them out if you're in the marketplace for some skins. And SteelSeries. They've been doing this shit for an awfully long time, servicing the CS community, mind you, for about 20 plus years. If you don't know what SteelSeries is, you don't know what peripherals are. So go check them out. They've had some great gear. I love myself a QCK heavy. Anyway, tonight, the show, HLTV Confirmed. We got Prof, we got Striker, the trio reunited with Lukas, pressing all the buttons. Lukas, you sound a little bit tired. Are you sleepy today?
Oh, I am so sleepy. I went for some sushi, and it was so good I went into a food coma right after.
Ah, okay. So induced by the edibles of the sushi variety. So that's fair enough. In Denmark, you don't live in Copenhagen. I was going to say you could have headed over to Christiania and sorted yourself out with some real good stuff, Lukas. But we don't. We
have some experience with that, Chad.
I just know if you dress like this over there, you're probably a resident Striker of Christiania. So they probably let me in regardless. But Striker, Lukas just made a very good point. Behind you, you have a Christmas tree as well as 17 cats and a stolen printer. How have you managed to pull this one off?
Honestly, I don't know, but the tree is like continuously losing balls every day because the cats literally climb inside of it, and it's not fun. And I want to throw it out now.
Oh, okay. Well, it's all right. You can get rid of it now. Christmas is over. You can get rid of it. When are you meant to take the Christmas tree down? What are the rules?
I mean, for us, the tradition would be on the 6th of January.
That's the same here.
To take it down.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, well, Prof, are you wearing NAF merch today?
This is unofficial NAF merch.
Okay.
He doesn't know it exists, but it is NAF supporting merch. It's just like, off-brand. It's like, just you get it on the streets. They just sell them like with the fake Luka Modric jerseys. So you pick it up there, and it's pretty vibes.
All proceeds go to someone not named NAF.
That is true.
Who I'm probably not even a NAF fan. So, all right, let me get to the lowdown on this, right? So, I know in certain parts. So, here's the thing: do you guys celebrate Christmas on the 24th or the 25th?
4th,
5th.
Okay, and Lukas, you'd be the 24th, right? Okay, so there is a divide. But then there's people like I always get blown away every year. I get to the point, and I'm talking to Yanko, and his Christmas isn't for like a fucking week or some shit.
His Christmas is on the 7th, I think, and that's why we have to take down our tree on the 6th. So it's like a clear distinction. So like where you are in this, the divide. I mean, yes and no. I feel like there must be a part of it But that's why you have to take it on the 6th. But no one does it anymore. But like the older generations definitely like made that.
But they have
let's say.
but they are the same as like most of the East, right? Which is that they have the New Year rather than Christmas on the 7th. Like for them, the New Year is kind of our Christmas.
Okay. No, the Serbian New Year is on the 13th when the origin is happening.
Okay.
So
When's Chinese New Year?
It's gonna be like an open air concert, like 300 meters away from the venue. So with Sasha Matic, for people from the region that know him.
Okay, we're learning things.
He's a
today.
blind turbo folk singer. It's pretty
what?
bad. Turbo folk. That's like a genre.
Turbo folk.
Yeah, I think it's self-explanatory what it means.
Okay. All right.
You can like just imagine what it is, and it's exactly that.
All right. Well, okay. We're learning here this evening. Now, some people don't even celebrate Christmas, but hopefully some people are getting a bit of downtime, enjoying the holidays. Tonight's episode, we'll set the table here for maybe some viewers joining us expecting a little bit more of the same. The last few weeks, there was obviously a period of time where I was in Australia. I missed a bunch of episodes. And then we've had guests almost non-stop up until this point, trying to book them in advance. We'll try and do the same thing next year so we can just have everything a little bit laid out, which is nice. It's nice to do those things. But we
Great
figured
job, Chad.
Well, yeah, I'm finally going to do my fucking job, get my head out of my ass a little bit. I think that's going to be my goal for 2024 in the next few years. But yeah, we just wanted to kind of get the band back together, have a bit more of a casual episode. Now, we have some housekeeping that we need to get through, right? We've got some recent news. News keeps popping up. There's definitely some more stuff happening within the Counter-Strike sphere as far as roster changes and a couple of other little bits and bobs. So we'll go through some of that stuff. But yeah, once we get through that, we'll go into playtime and we'll keep it a bit more general and we'll just, chat and we'll see where we end up. So let's get the show on the road, shall we? Lukas, roll the bumper. Let's get into the recent news. All right, we're back. And look, there are some things to talk about here today. Now, let's start off with some more drama because we love drama. Prof, and you're almost our, if this was TMZ, you'd be the man I turn to. So we're seeing Stabbi. Seeing Stabbi refer to themselves in the third person and put out a statement. What type of feelings did that leave you?
I have to say, I was going to do some like big shopping and this dropped. And I was like halfway between like the car and the store. And I'm like, I have to stop right here and read this. And it was breaking. It was breaking news, and I had to read it. I'm like, this is one of the statements of all time, for sure. One of the statements of all time. What did it do? What did it accomplish? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure who approved this or who wrote this or what they thought this was going to accomplish, but I'm sure it did not accomplish what they thought it would accomplish, essentially.
Well, let's break this down a little bit. What do you think that stavn and jabbi were hoping to accomplish by saying something?
I think they wanted to to some degree, probably somewhere in Denmark, they got like 10-15% more, the turnover from the story, people like, oh no, they were actually, did wrong or something. And realistically, that's what matters the most, but at the same for Astralis. But yeah, I think they just wanted to tell their side of the story and not be the bad guys, essentially, which realistically, someone is going to be the bad guys, and they were.
Well, in the court of public opinion, right? Whoever strikes first, right?
Yes.
This is how it's good. The story was told by the heroic
story
side.
just had so many holes and literally did not make sense at all. So it did not add up. So I don't think they got too many, new fans based on this.
Well, this made news, Striker. This actually was an article on the website. We're now dipping our toe into the drama sphere. So what made it newsworthy, do you think?
I mean, just obviously, like, this is a story that we followed and we posted the heroic side of it, and then their accusations, that were left unrequited, I would say. So, like, this is just us doing our job and just making sure that the other side of the story is out there as well, since we did, like, cover this in the first place, so that's just why we decided to cover it, because obviously this is something that people are looking for. They wanted to hear from those two, and they consistently denied all interviews or questions about it up until this point. I mean, for me, like, my feelings were that, first of all, like, it is very calculated to do this just days before Christmas, like after whatever it is, like a month and a half of silence. And to do this like 2 days before Christmas, when you know like people will probably not want to reply so much, they'll not want to steer like whatever, stir any more drama and all that stuff. Like I feel like this was very calculated timing from them. In
They
general,
didn't do themselves any favors though, did they?
no, I think they did not. I think they just like left into the break. Like this didn't really get resolved in any way. We didn't really learn anything new, to be honest. We only learned that at least a big part of what Heroic said was at least to some level true, you know, because they're like all of it is just kind of like deflecting like attention from some of the key details that were said in the Heroic statement, you know, and they're effectively saying like denying something that Heroic that never even said in the first place, you know, like that they signed contracts with Astralis, which Heroic never said. They just said like that those two told them that okay, we want to continue with Astralis. That doesn't mean that they signed contracts or anything like that, right?
Yeah, it's
and
like
they didn't deny that part, by the way.
It literally said this is implying that they signed contract with Astralis. Like, no, it's not. It's definitely not implying that. It's just implying that you spoke and made like the idea was there, the concept was there, but obviously they didn't sign. No one said that would be ludicrous to say that they signed. No one ever said that they signed because it was like 8 months from their contract ending. So if they signed, that would potentially be illegal as well, depending on all of the different country laws. So it's like, let's just say things, let's deny things that haven't been said. So it looks like there's more, you know, more meat to this whole statement. And it sounds like a classic, like Astralis move, even though the PR guy from Astralis said that they were not involved. How much we can believe that, that's like a whole different
I wonder
thing.
why they wouldn't have been involved though, right?
But realistically, they should be involved since it's their player, right? And it's their kind of their brand that they're defending to some degree, because like the implication is on stavn and jabbi, but also kind of on Astralis, the way they swooped in for these two players, even though, you know, in the end, all fair and love and transfer sagas.
Yeah, let's boil it down though. What's the biggest qualm? Is that the community thinks what they did was stabbing a couple of players in the back, namely Cadian, right? Like that was the issue. Obviously, there was the implication that they got rid of Cadian and then they were going to leave anyway and go to Astralis for what they thought was a better idea or deal. But that's the problem, right? Is that they did something that people were like, "Oh, this is immoral that you did." That's the biggest issue, that they were getting up and leaving?
Honestly, yes. And realistically, these things happen. And
yeah,
like,
they should have just kept their mouth shut. Who cares?
Exactly. Like realistically, the kind of the whole thing was dying down. There's actually no point in this pulling this out. What they did was just like, you know, when you're trying to clean the house, and instead of actually using something nice to like swipe away the dust, you're just using, you know, whatever. The dust is just in the air. Why are you doing this? Better to just leave it there than do whatever the fuck they just did. So I think it was a huge L statement overall. And just to put it out there, literally fuck everyone that just is gonna go out, put a statement, and never answer any questions. Like obviously it's BS. Like if you don't want to speak to journalists for like 2 months, and then you're gonna put out a statement before Christmas, and then not gonna answer any more questions ever, you're hiding something, right? You don't want to talk about it. And if you don't want to talk about it, then don't say anything.
Yeah.
And that would be much better.
I think the biggest thing they should have done is just not said anything, because what's done is done, right? And the thing is, as I mentioned before, in the court of public opinion, well, whoever went first, which was Heroic, set the tone. And if you weren't going to reply immediately and you weren't going to reply with receipts, then why reply at all, right? Because you didn't get into the back and forth early enough for it to get picked up, and people picked up what they wanted to pick up. And now there's a fun little nickname about it, right? And that's the way it goes. The thing is, I imagine because they're two young men, they don't want to be seen and perceived as these bad guys. That is the one thing that they probably want to avoid. They don't want to have this like negative press and opinion around them. However, these things happen. There's a lot of people, right, who have that stigma. Like Nico is a guy who I don't think, you know, he's ever said boo to a goose other than saying shut up a couple times at an E-League fucking what feels like 17 years ago now. And people think the guy's this like massive villain, right? And he's just going to have that stigma because he's probably what a lot of people want to be, this handsome guy with a hot fucking girlfriend, traveling around the world, lots of fucking money, great at Counter-Strike, and they just don't like him for the person that he is. And those people will just have that opinion of Nico, whether it's reasonable or not. And for stabbi, and for jabbi and stavn, right? Unfortunately, this has had some cultural impact, as Maui would say, and they just have to live with it. And the best way out of this is just by winning, right? It's just by fucking fragging. Yeah. That's all you can do, is just set the agenda by being good at Counter-Strike and play well with Astralis, and Astralis becomes a good team. That's it. That's all you had to do. Now that you've said something, you've made it look worse for yourself than it already was. So I just think they missed the mark a little bit there. And the other problem is, let's say Astralis didn't advise them. Well, that's bad in the first place. Let's say Astralis did advise them. This is people advising young men on what to do in a situation that they've never been in. Like, this is the thing. How many players are there at the professional level who get that type of negative press around them and then getting help from an organization that has literally no idea? Like, you don't know how it feels. You don't know what it's like. I think the interesting thing with Counter-Strike and esports as a community overall, and I feel this from my perspective, is we're a lot more connected with the social media and the community than like mega sports stars, because they don't fucking manage their social media. I don't think Zywo manages his social media. He's doing it right, you know? But a lot of them do. A lot of them look at the Instagram. A lot of them look at the Twitter. A lot of them look at all these things, right? And you get it a lot more personal. And that's probably why Jabbi and stavn felt the need to say something, because they didn't want to keep having that. But unfortunately, I think they've just fueled the fire. So that's a little bit unfortunate there. But yeah, I don't have much more to say on this. Does anyone else?
No, just you know, I think, as you said, the young players, hard to deal with the feedback that came in. But realistically, they made the decisions and they need to live with the consequences of it.
Yeah.
Was it the nice thing to do? No. So you realistically should be not as loved as you were before. That's just like that's what happens when you put your interests before, you know, the collective to some degree. And this collective in this case was Heroic, and a team that after a lot of shit was kind of getting appreciated for what they were, and them leaving literally destroy the team. The team does not exist anymore. And also they were obviously a part of pushing out KD. Was it just the two of them, or was it like four of them? It kind of doesn't matter if you're like, okay, we need to remove this guy, and then they leave. The team does not exist. And they have, I would say, the most responsibility on that. So you just need to, you know, deal with it, shut up, play. Or if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. But like, as I said, this is not the way. It didn't really accomplish anything.
They've almost helped Cadian come full circle, though, in his little arc, haven't they? They've now made Cadian like this. It's not that Cadian was a bad guy, but he definitely was like the heel in some people's eyes, right? Obviously, with the whole Hunden situation. And I know he can be a little bit abrasive. I know there's some players out there who are massive fans of him and stuff. And now it's like, well, Cadian comes out of this situation as the good guy. And now he's over there sitting around a fire singing Kumbaya with Liquid. And they're like, you know, it's actually pretty funny.
We could actually talk about that. And just a small side note, I don't know if we spoke about this on Confirmed, but that interview from Nafany where he says, like, he's talking about IGLing, and he's talking about Cadian. He's like, oh yeah, Cadian, even though I don't like him as a person, I respect him a lot as an IGL. It's like, why do you have to put in that first
right,
part?
You didn't need the first bit.
You didn't need the first bit.
Could have just left that out.
Brutal honesty of like Eastern Europe. It's so funny. So I love that bit. But the video from Liquid, did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't.
What did you think, Chad? Striker?
I mean, for me, it was a lot of no. Like, this is me just. I have like a third thing. No. I have like a third thing, so it's just hard for me to talk sometimes. So yeah, don't take that as any sort of like my comment on the situation. No, I mean, for me, it's like it's really not kind of my style. The way that like, you know, they made it such a big thing, like building the foundation and all that stuff, just because like I'm not really at all into like the whole affirmation and just like telling each other how much you love each other and like what you like about each other and all that stuff. It's just not my thing, you know. But like, if it works for them, it works for them, right? I think that's the biggest part. And I think it was kind of cool to see that, like, you know, Twit's getting emotional and like talking to Zeus like in like one of those sessions and all that stuff. I think it's great that they put this out there, because I talked to Twist about this a little bit on the side, you know, and he wasn't super comfortable about like having this be public, like, so that they don't shout too much into like the background of what happened, or like how they're building the team and what like role Edward has in the team and stuff like that. So I was like kind of surprised that this actually ended up coming out. But like, I'm all for it. At least we can see a little bit more into the background and what like some of this cool stuff that people do, like with these retreats, you know, that are like away from PCs. We've heard like Lars Robel does the same thing with like when he was with Astralis, when he was with Vitality. I'm sure he's going to do the same thing like at the beginning of this Falcons tenure, you know. So like all this stuff, like the more that we hear about it, I think the better. So we can.
Isn't this what we expected with the personalities? Like the you know, I was talking about this team in terms of them being like quite a I want to say extroverted team, I guess, because that's what they're doing, right? They're doing things that are away from the computer here. They're going out and they're going for the bonding first, which I guess is the foundation of a team. You know, you want to make sure it's easier to play Counter-Strike when you like your teammates. I think that's that should probably be considered a given. So if you can build that early, that's nice. That's a nice thing to have, right? I haven't watched the video, but I can assume probably a lot of the content that's in there and the things that they're doing. And I'm just envisioning, you know, that we can probably make a few good parodies out of stuff like that come Pro League when it rolls around. You know,
I like it. There is a lot of content. If this team like fails very badly, that could be insanely funny. So you know, we should save it. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Download it while it's still there.
Savor it.
And savor it. There's a bit where their car got stuck in like sand, so they needed to like as a team get it out of the sand. And I'm like, is this real?
Is this a bit?
Or is this a bit?
No.
Like I'm not sure, but either way, genius, absolutely genius.
Too good.
Maximum team play.
Okay. Well, let's jump into some more Astralis news. This didn't happen when we were on the show last time round, but Castle no longer the coach over there at Astralis, which has opened the door for a bit of speculation. I went for a chess type situation here. See Bishop over Castle.
I appreciated it. Yeah.
But Bishop was a coach for a Turkish team, so I don't think he'll be coaching Astralis by any means. So do we know who the coach of Astralis is going to be? Any guesses?
I mean, the obvious guess is obvious, right? Yeah, I mean that is my guess. I don't actually know that that's happening.
Why is he there now? Just picking everyone from Heroic. Is there like a, I don't know, marketing manager free or like someone from sales that they can pick up, or what's the deal with this?
But this is a big win for Exist, though, right?
But it is funny that like it's not even that he transferred or anything like that. Just like Heroic didn't want him at Astralis, we're like, okay, we'll have him or something. You know?
Why not? We'll take
like
him.
If that actually happened, by the way, like I don't actually know that this is happening, you know, but I feel like it must be. Like who else would it be, you know, at this point?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? If we would throw some names out there, I'm not even sure where it would land. I guess they'd want to. He's Swedish, everybody. I want everyone to make sure that Exist is Swedish, not Danish. But he's had a lot of experience with the Danes in recent times, so maybe he's picked up a thing or two. But I don't really know what to make of Castle, and I'm interested to see where he ends up. Like when I got to meet him and talk to him and stuff at all these different events, he seemed like a cool guy. Like there was nothing really, you know, in terms of, again, this is the problem. Like Lukas, you're Danish. What do you know about Castle?
Castle's really cool. Castle is a very nice guy.
Okay, there you go.
I've literally never heard. I feel like, I mean,
wasn't he banned?
Interviews.
Yes,
I've seen interviews. I've seen him speak. But I haven't heard anything, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Like nothing, there's no substance from anything that he ever said. It was so like milk toast.
Yeah.
Milk toast.
And it's also like you also don't hear of him anything that's like of substance either, like how much what he does and like how much contribution he makes and all that stuff. And there was even one interview with him where he was kind of like alluding to the fact that he's not actually making any of the big decisions, even though like he's being listened to or whatever. No, so it's like, so what did you do in the first place then? Like, what was your role exactly? You know, okay. It's like it's always hard to see like what coaches do, and sometimes just like if they don't have their players praising them, basically we never find out if they're actually good or not, because like how can you know, like if they don't want to talk too much. So I mean, I don't know. That's just my read on the guy as well. It's just like I didn't feel like he did much in the first place.
He was the coach when they had Hunden as the whatever analyst or like assistant coach or whatever. And how I saw it always was like, okay, this is just a guy to stand behind them, and while Hunden does like whatever, because he was the guy that
like
had
all the strategic stuff,
had the bad but also the good reputation in terms of like understanding CS, right? So it just felt from the start that he was that kind of just a placeholder for Astralis.
Okay,
maybe he's super smart. I don't know, but that's the vibe he gave off.
Well, the news is more about who it could be as opposed to who they've lost by the seams of things there. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open for that to see who Astralis sign in the coming weeks. I assume it'll be weeks. All right, jumping ahead. Heroic is complete. The rumors are true. Kyxsan joins. He's going to be the in-game leader over there. So from Apex up to Heroic. So you've got a Macedonian, 3 Danes, and an Israeli walk into a bar. it's kind of a interesting mix of a team here now. So you've got Nerds, Tessus, Nikodos, Shush, and kyxsan. Obviously, Nikodos signed as the AWP player. Tessus and Shush were left over. Nerds coming over from ENCE, and then obviously kyxsan from Apex, as we just spoke about, and saw in the mix as well from ENCE. Now, what is this? What type of taste in the mouth does this team leave for you, Striker? Are you like, oh yeah, this could be all right? Well, what do you feel when you look at this roster?
I mean, realistically, does anybody think this has like enough to go deep into the top 10? Like, I can see that it's going to be competitive. You know, maybe they're going to have decent results, but I don't see this as like a title competing roster. You know,
Nerds,
compared to the previous
kyxsan,
one.
You know, I think those three I can get behind. People have been like, oh, Nikodos has been farming with Preci. Okay, so he's playing a lot of online Counter-Strike. That's cool. Like, if he can be back to good form, then that'd be all right. But I don't know. I get
like,
the name value.
I like the setup of it just because, you know, like, it's probably going to follow kind of like a similar mark as the old heroic team did. Obviously, you know, they don't have an IGL upper, you know, so like the roles are going to be a little bit different. But like, I understand that I know what Tessus will do. I know what Shush will do. You know, like, I understand what they will and I understand how everybody else will spread out around them. You know, Nerds is probably going to be somewhere like something of a stavn replacement, you know, and he's going to be the main star of the team now. Probably more prominent compared to stavn because they just had such a like close-knit system, you know, that like everybody had space to have the numbers and all that stuff. I don't know if that's still going to be the same case here, but I just feel like, you know, like, you lose two of your best fraggers, and the Cadian was actually the third probably in most tournaments, and then Tessus and Shush were always kind of like the supportive players. Like, Tessus was always the first guy coming in, like, had the most heat on him in terms of like aggression, and Shush was like the most passive, was more like closer, you know, and not really having, or like more like an anchor, not really having like loads of impact. Like, Shush was always like, they always did really well when Shush was doing well, but it's not like it was on him to be the star of the team at any point, you know. And I feel like Nikodos did fine on Fnatic, but he wasn't like lights out. He was just okay. Nerds was obviously really good on ENCE, but is that going to be enough, you know, in terms of firepower to actually be competing deep into tournaments? I don't know.
I'm looking at it, and it's weird because, like, I like all of the players, but all together, I don't think it's gonna mesh well. That's kind of my fear, because I think like kyxsan, actually the three riflers I think are really good for all of their roles, as you explained, but the question marks are the op and IGL, which are probably the most important roles on the team, right? I don't know if Nikodos can carry what he's been doing in Prezi into like tier 1 again. Looking at the stats, he has like decent stats. He gets
really
like top 20 and top 30 even, but not that many matches played. And that was also a Danish team, so they are speaking Danish. I would presume that made a difference. But then kyxsan is like, okay, he's been good at this like tier 2, 1.5 level, right? But he hasn't proven himself to be, you know, a guy that can play on the top 5 consistently like Cadian has been. So that's my question mark. I feel like they have great pieces, and Saw as a coach, I think, is one of like probably the best that they could have gotten. Maybe some other teams should have looked into him as well, but they didn't. So I feel like all of the pieces are really good, but I'm not sure if it's gonna mesh as well as obviously old Heroic did. So I'm really conflicted. Like, I kind of hated the lineup when I saw it originally, but now that I look at it more, it's like, this could be good. It could be pretty good.
I'm interested to see, like, I think that we'll learn a lot about Saw, right? Because kyxsan obviously needs to take a step up into his in-game leading roles for the team to go further, right? For them to be a better team, to be more consistent. So we'll get to see kind of what Saw brings to the table in this coaching role, right? We've always heard very good things. Saw has a very good rep as a coach. So we'll kind of get to see how that meshes, and even what type of style of Counter-Strike they want to play. So I think that'll be interesting.
Maybe there's also one thing that I didn't quite really take into consideration, or at least I wasn't looking at so much. Like, at least it looks like this team is going to be like, if we're comparing it to the old Heroic, and obviously like it's not the same team, it's not even the same core. And a lot of things have changed, you know, all the style is probably going to change with leadership and stuff like that. But one quality that I feel like will remain is that all 5 like have something to them, like in terms of like, there's not going to be an anchor in the bad sense of the term to this team, you know, because kyxsan's actually a pretty good fragging in-game leader. You know, it's not like he's lights out. He's not like the amazing, you know, like like a Blameff, or whatever like that. But he's like, he holds his own all the time. Like even in the big tournaments, like he had a good Sydney. He had a couple of like, I think they played in Pro League where he was pretty good, like across a lot of maps that they played against top teams, So he's relatively proven as a fragging and in-game leader. Maybe not from like an actual leading perspective, but as a fragger and in that position, he seems pretty good. So at least that quality I like about the team, that they will still retain.
I think as well, something that could be good is he's only 23, right? So this is another young in-game leader. So opportunities to grow here. It's not like they're grabbing someone that's old and hoping that's going to pan out immediately. So that's something else that we might get to see develop with this. But out the gates, like I'm with what you're saying, Prof. Like, yeah, within you look at the name of them individually. I just think it's going to be interesting to see because this next major cycle is going to be so highly and hotly contested, and especially with CS2 as well, right? That's another factor that really, really needs to be brought into the equation here. I think it's hard for us to have any real Well, no, I think we can have expectations because these are proven tier 1 players, right? Well, a bunch of them are. And it's a good organization with a good coach, so we should have expectations. But I think like it's very difficult to try and predict exactly what's going to happen. I feel like we're due a lot of upsets again. And I don't know if that's going to have like shattering effects, the status quo. A lot of these partner teams will be able to get away with it again. Like, let's say they don't make it to the first major. Okay, well, they still get to go and play their partner events for the rest of the year. Next year, it'll have more effects, right? Like if these top teams, quote unquote, are right now unable to contest when the majors roll around, and then they're unable to get the necessary like rankings and stuff to then get invited to the other tournaments or qualified, that's when we're going to have more problems. But I feel like these teams are probably safe to fuck around and find out for another year, right? Like that's kind of a good position to find yourself. So
someone said in the chat, Heroic will be just another OG/Fnatic, and I think no, like they're definitely
they're better than that. They're definitely better than that.
Above that. I mean, as I said, I think they have like great individual pieces. The roles kind of fit. It's just about will they all deliver to the level that we expect them to? Because Nerds is proven star, but the IGL op combination both have things to be kind of concerned about. Not like someone in the chat's also like, I'm an XU player hater, ex-Yugoslavia. Like, I'm not hating on kyxsan, but it's the real thing. The realistic thing, he's not proven on a tier 1 level yet. So there's just something more to see from him.
Okay, let's jump forward. This is a pretty quick one here. OG had Nexius. We saw Nexius stand in for Mouse. He was okay, right? He had a couple of nice moments.
Okay, next topic.
Yeah, okay. No, we can do that. Like, there's not really a lot to talk about with OG, right? They don't even have a full roster right now. They have 4 players like Fiku, Kita, Regali.
Like, what are you gonna get excited about when you look at this OG?
Well, I haven't been
like there was already little to get excited about before that, and that like now we're only getting worse. And it's not like I hate on any of the individual
team.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not like I'm even hating on any of the individual players. It's just like they don't seem to want anybody actually proven or can afford anybody actually proven or anybody good.
I don't think they can get. How are you meant to attract good players to your organization? What have you done?
That's exactly the point. Yeah, because I mean they've already been kind of on the track to becoming just like a kind of like an academy team anyway. Like because they've been picking up pretty much either unproven or just like leftover pieces for a while now. Like basically ever since Degster left. I mean Degster was kind of their last and only like big signing in quite a long time.
He's still contracted to OG, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Crazy.
That is kind of crazy. Yeah, but like he was the only like big signing that they got in like 2 years now. And
I think Nexa was also a decent signing. Wasn't a bad signing. Like when they had Nexa and Degster, that was like there was something there. I would say Flames. That was the lineup that had some potential.
Holy shit!
But where they are now is it's really rough.
But like since then, yeah.
Dexter's last official, other than some show match Team Flamey thing, was at the Paris Major in the Challenger stage.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's fucking insane. That's crazy. He's been out of action he has been out of action the rest of the year.
Yeah,
that's actually crazy.
And it doesn't seem like he's going to be, maybe like a team signs him now before the RMRs and everything, RMR qualifiers, but it doesn't seem like he's going to play this major either. So he's like out of action for a year practically. And then waiting until the Copenhagen major ends to find a spot.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's interesting. You'd think, like, obviously people talking about Cloud9 being an AWPer and stuff. I wonder why he's not on the menu or on the list or in the conversation.
I mean, he's not helped his reputation, to be honest, like in terms of, all of his like former, even like if you look at the Nexius interview that he did, I don't know, it was like a couple months ago after he left OG, where he was also talking about degster in a way where like it just felt like degster wanted to be the star and like everybody to play for him, and like in kind of like a disruptive way even, so like, and that's like was kind of the same stuff that Spirit were also saying, when degster left, and there was like some back and forth between the teammates, like former teammates from Spirit. Like he was great in Spirit, but like obviously, without him, they went on to do pretty well anyway. So like, just I don't think anybody's willing to take the risk at the moment, to disrupt the team.
Okay. All right, let's jump forward. Let's talk about this Blaster 16 team news. That's good news, but they're still going to have spots. So what, minimum of 350,000 for each of these 4 spots that are available. And we just had Cloud9 buy the spot off of EG, right? Which I think I said was...
Yeah. Didn't they pay 900K, you said?
Yeah, from what my little birdies told me.
350?
Yeah, as a minimum.
But they're also...
There's no rev share.
Yeah, they're not getting...
They have no rev share.
Yeah. The second part is that I don't know if that's actually like the 600 or whatever difference there is. I don't actually think that you can make that up in rev share, but I mean,
I think I had the numbers. One of the little birdies gave me the numbers, and I think like the minimum amount that you would have made from groups was like 5. If you came last, was 540. I'd have to double check that, so don't quote me on that. Yeah,
as one team.
Yeah,
in one groups.
Like I said,
groups.
I'll have to double check. Maybe it's both groups.
There's no way each team from Blast full groups or like Blast groups would have made 500,000 or more. There's no way there's like 4 million ref share.
Come on, man. I'm just telling you what I was told. These numbers aren't coming from me. These numbers are coming from people.
I mean, maybe I'm crazy. I'm not so big on the business, but like 4 million ref share, no more, because it's 12 teams, not 8 teams. So it's worse. That's 6 million ref share plus per groups. There's no way.
Why are my messages? It says it's load my messages. God damn it! Where's my phone? I could find it. Hold on. Let's have a look here. Let me have a look. This is the thing as well. So people
like per season, I could imagine.
People message me this stuff, and I wonder why they message me. Like they can't message me and just be like, "Oh, he's not going to say anything." Well, no, but there's no messages. There's no message like this is in confidence. This is just like a conversation that just gets started up. I don't even ask any of these fucking questions.
Of course.
Okay. Well, again, from the way that reads, it would be per group. Or per season, I don't know. It could be per season. I would assume per group season, because it was 12 teams.
I could start like picturing that, but per groups, man.
And maybe you add the prize money that you
maybe
get
that. Maybe you add the prize money and stuff as well. Yeah, it could be.
It's not far off. It's not far off. But anyway, 16 teams, so that's great. First of all, it like sets up better groups, I think, as well. Just like a better format for the groups. Potentially, there's more competition, because like less teams go through, so it's more cutthroat and less.
But it's still partnered.
It is, but at least if you get like good partners, you get good teams. You don't have EG anymore. Complexity is better than it used to be. What else? Who else was very bad? Well, OG is still there.
MIBR would be nice if they were still in it.
Yeah,
they're actually good now, or
they're
good enough.
Pretty decent, yeah. And also Brazilian, so you get some Furia. Is Furia in the Blast? No.
Maybe they will be.
Yeah, maybe they will be. I would say like could be Furia, could be Falcons. I would say Falcons.
It would be worth it
for
Falcons. It would be worth it for Falcons, right? Like considering they need something to go into the year with.
It would, however, go against what they said on the show, which would be funny.
I mean, what was it about?
I mean, I think they specifically said they wouldn't get into the franchise leagues for the next year. But I mean, obviously,
there will be no
Probably
franchise leagues after the next year.
If there is a great opportunity, we won't say no, And I think this is a pretty good opportunity for them to get into it. And Snappy in Blast. Let's go.
Oh shit! Imagine.
Let's go.
That'd be hilarious.
Is he gonna be hit by the can't say shit about Blast rule or clause or not? Let's see how it develops.
That's interesting. For 350K, do you sign that part of the clause? Are you allowed to say what you want because you're not getting any rev shares?
Well, it's not. It's probably not his his decision to make.
Yeah, true. Okay, well, yeah, that's a little bit of news. So the positive signs that Prof just highlighted a better format and hopefully better teams, or not
more competition.
They have good teams. Yes, more competition. That'd be a better way to frame it. Anything?
I'm curious. I mean, I'm curious how that's gonna affect the rest of the circuit, because obviously, like, does that mean there will have more teams in the finals, or what does that mean exactly? Because like previously we had 12 teams go down to 6. And I imagine that they'll still want to keep their current partners happy for the next year, because otherwise, maybe that would create some issues, if suddenly their partners didn't have as many spots in the finals. So I imagine either it's just straight 8 teams from there, which I don't think will happen, because that would just cut off the showdown entirely,
Yeah, and if anything, you'd want to be showing Valve that you're doing more qualifier stuff than less qualifier stuff.
So I feel like are they going to expand the finals? I'm not sure, seems like that's the most logical way to do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess they could run just kind of like what they do with the World Finals, right? Where like the first day of the playoffs, quote unquote, where it's like the 6-team quarterfinal thing. There's no.
I mean, they did that for the spring and fall. I mean,
just
fall
run that. You could run more days, right? Of just
yeah.
It doesn't have to all be in the arena, and make it a bit more prestigious for the people to get into the arena. How is Chad not all over the fact that teams would pay whatever just to? I don't understand that either, Natu. I don't know why teams would be, I guess, paying for exposure. It's like the opposite of being a graphics designer. You do it for free. Well, now you're going to pay for the privilege of getting that exposure. I'm not quite sure. But
I mean, you also get some ranking points for ESL. So like it feeds into the system, right? So like you get maybe some like a better way into.
So you think it would tee you up for next year, though?
I mean, I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know what Valve is planning for how the transition will come. Because like at some point, like their ranking will obviously be influenced heavily by the stuff that happens next year, right? Or at least at the end of next year.
Yes.
So like leading into the beginning of 2025, even though their ranking works fairly with recent data, like it will obviously be affected by the franchises to some degree, So like I'm curious about how that's going to affect things, but I'm more talking about like just within the next year. Like you're probably going to have a leg up in qualifying for Cologne, for example, if you do well in the Blast circuit, and that's like if you have the leg up in like being able to be in the groups and have a place in the final, that already gives you more points and all that stuff. I mean, 350K is a lot of money, but
with no rev share, no guaranteed return.
Yeah, that's the point. Like I'm not a businessman. I can't tell you if that actually makes any sense in terms of returns, but I can see how. If you don't really care about the 350K, if you're an organization that feels like that's not like a lot of money to throw around, then maybe that's okay.
That's the problem. I don't really understand the overall finances and how much money we really are throwing around here.
I think what's the worst thing is that if Blast did this like 3 to 4, 5, 6 months ago, they could have probably sold it for more, because like a team like Falcons could have bought this and then used it
to get players.
Yes. Right? Because like someone like Nico even said that he wasn't excited about having 0 spots, right?
Yeah.
So if they had this out before all the transfers happened, then you can be like, oh, well, we have this spot and it's not like we don't have ESL, but at least we have Blast, and then that is just essentially worth more. But at this moment of the transfer mania, it has like a lot less value than it would have had otherwise.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's jump forward. We got some more news to jump into here. So it appears that GameSquare are going to be selling off Complexity as opposed to that of FaZe, which would make the most sense. FaZe is a bigger brand. They have the better team. And that news kind of came our way. Sources say that Jason Lake looking to reacquire Complexity from GameSquare. So that right there, it'd be great if Mr. Lake could get it back under his banner. Maybe they can even change the logo back. Prof, would you like the logo change back for Complexity?
I kind of got used to this one, to be honest, even though it's just the Dallas Cowboys logo. I remember like when I went to ECS, season 6, and I'm in Dallas, I'm like, what the fuck, so many Complexity fans? And then I realized it's just the Dallas Cowboys logo. Cool.
So I think he has to change it back then.
Probably yes. So why not? I think it's a cool remember when every org was doing rebrands? We had like rebrand per week, and all of them were awful. But like this one just makes sense because it changes what the what that org actually is, right? It makes sense to do a rebrand because now you're no longer connected to this thing. You're back to like OG esports and all of these things. So I think going back to like red and black and all of that would make sense. And
yeah, it is heavily outdated at this point, though.
It just makes it makes a lot of sense for like GameSquare to keep FaZe. Like it was from the beginning. I know we had like Ryan on the show saying that this is going to happen 100%. Like obviously people are saying that, otherwise he wouldn't have like relayed the information, but it made no sense to me ever. Like FaZe is just such a huge brand that's recognizable outside of esports as well. They have an insanely good team.
And you would have mattered lost to sell them. Who would have paid what you would need to pay to buy FaZe? Like the team, the Counter-Strike team. Like and the salaries on those guys and shit. Like, does it tell us anything more than that, though? Or that's about it? Complexity, Jason Lake needs to find some funding. That's not going to be easy considering the time we're in right now, but it's a strong brand. Like, it's a very strong Counter-Strike brand. That's a positive thing. And he's tried and tested over the years, so hopefully people can back him because Jason Lake seems like a pretty good bloke, if you ask me.
This actually does come at least a decent time for Complexity, just because of the CS team's status at the moment in the scene. They actually do look like a good team. You know, if this was half a year ago, you know, before the CS2, their results in Sydney and what was after that?
The leave signing, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff, you know, like it does actually come at a time where they have some real value in the CS scene, you know, outside of what they had with their partner slots in ESL and Blast.
Okay, we can jump through this. We can talk about EG and ESL terminating their partnership. Now, I just read the headline on this one and went, thank fucking God. I didn't even bother going any further. Were there details to this, or do we just no longer have to worry about EG?
I mean, like, what would they do with the partnership if it wasn't terminated? Literally, the only way they could have terminated this partnership, apparently, is by not having anyone in the company. You know, maybe there's like three guys, like a janitor and like a resident, a CEO or whatever. Maybe they could field that roster. Wouldn't probably do the same as the previous EG rosters anyway. So whatever.
But this is the thing. I think at no point, like they were offering up fucking slop, right, for dinner. But at no point do you ever sit there and go, oh, you know, the players are the ones responsible for this. They're obviously for the results, so they're not playing the best Counter-Strike. But there was so much more behind the scenes, and it was just so much. It was so like flamboyant in the way that they were like posturing and we're doing all this stuff, and you know, I was like, just fuck off. Like, this is the thing. And from the very beginning, when they started all of this, I was just like, okay, if they want to burn money to keep themselves warm, let them. Like, I don't even want to fucking talk about these people. This is the thing. It's like, why do we waste our time? Like, you can see that when the writing's on the wall. And I think with EG, good fucking riddance. Like, you're letting clowns drive the clown car. That would be good. You would want clowns to drive the clown car, wouldn't you? You would.
But it's not a clown car. That's a problem.
No,
it was like a
Mercedes.
F1.
Yes. Yeah, it should be an F. Yes, you're right. It should be a Formula One car. Yeah. So anyway, I just think we should all just say thank you very much for getting the fuck out of here, and good riddance. Hopefully the people who are at the top of that organization and had any decision-making qualities never come back. Just go do normie jobs. That's all good. We don't need you over here in esports. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. But a couple of other bits and bobs have come up since. Let me just quickly change this one here. Prof, you are, or at least you used to be,
resident hampus enjoyer,
the number one hampus fan. So what do you feel about this? Kassad's made his first signing, in-game leader hampus.
Actually, banger signing, I have to say.
Great signing.
Like, I didn't expect much from Bleed. Like, I didn't know who they could get at this point.
Apparently they're giga loaded, bro.
I don't know who the rest of the team is going to be, but like, it seems like they're going to have a team for the RMR quals, which is impressive in itself. As a first signing, hampus, banger. Like, hampus's stock is kind of weird. Like, people like him, but also his on and off with NIP, and like, he kind of wants to IGL, but maybe he's not the best IGL. This kind of vibe around him is, I think it's Kassad's like Moneyball approach. I think he's a great signing for this team to start off, and remains to be seen who the rest of the team is. But if you get Hampus first, I think that allows you to get some decent players to round out the roster.
Do you think they front up for one of these spots we're talking about here over there at Blast? Would that seem like something, Striker, that Kassad would be able to get them to do? 350k, get them into an event. Obviously need a roster, but
I mean,
it's going to be difficult otherwise.
I mean, realistically, I don't know, because like me as a person that's way too logical would be like, okay, why would you risk it at like completely new org enter into space? But we've also seen that before, you know, with Blast, like OG, when they came into the space, you know, they were completely new and immediately got the spot in Blast, you know, all that stuff. So I feel like this would be on brand for Blast to give somebody like one of these huge orgs from other esports titles, you know, like weigh in basically. Like for me, it wouldn't really make sense because like there's plenty of other teams that like if you want to have part of your circuit, you know, there are much better teams that are going to make your competition much more prestigious than just like this org that doesn't really mean anything in CS, and especially with a team that hasn't even been established yet, you know. So like for me, I'm like realistically, even though maybe the team is going to be competitive, like it's a risk in terms of competition. And like you're putting your competition in a place where you'll get another EG that's not going to be doing anything in the like in your circuit for 2 seasons in a row. So it's like, I don't know. I would rather not, but I could see it happening just because it's on brand.
I think like the thing is, kyxsan obviously has talked like a big game on Twitter about how he hasn't liked how some orgs have been run. And then in recent times, he's talking about having a difficult time with agents and whatnot. And they got in a bit of a back and forth with one of them, which I thought was kind of funny that the agent would even bother getting into that type of a discussion on the Twitter sphere. But I think like kyxsan, obviously, he wants to build something that's good, right? Like kyxsan's got a big personality. He's someone who has had success with teams who, let's say, are not the best, like the 100 Thieves guys, right? Like out of that team, the only player still playing today, or no one's playing anymore, actually. No, Jacob is. Jacob's still playing. Yeah, Jacob's the only one still playing. So Jacob and JKS are the only two. The rest of them,
Riaz is playing.
Oh yeah, Greyhound. Yeah, I should have said top to close to top tier Counter-Strike, right? So look, it'd be interesting to see what kyxsan is able to pull off. And I know it's probably not easy with some of these demands and stuff that these agents and players and whatnot have. So things are going to be pretty difficult to get off the ground. And the problem is the space at the moment. I feel that if he was doing this next year going into 2025, when things were more open, and then money would actually make a difference, right? Like in the sense that you could just buy good players and put them all in the team and not have to worry about partner slots and events. That would be great, right? That would be a really good position to find. But he's going to have a whole year now of having to, if they don't get one of these blast spots that we're talking about, of having to actually get results to get into the tournament. And that's like the first 6 months, right? Like that's going to be really difficult. So I think it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. But yeah, the point here was talking about Hampus, which could be a fun signing just to see who else they're able to get. Do we have much more about Bleed?
No, not really.
No, we'll see. I know kyxsan has been talking about Cirque a lot. In these podcasts and interviews, so it'll be interesting to see if he's a part of this lineup, for example, because
getting another show would be interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of people are kind of given up on him, but he's
24.
He's still super young, yeah, and obviously was a part of EG who was awful, but I would kind of like to see that, honestly. I would like
getting another chance.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll keep our eyes and ears out for that.
I wouldn't do it. It was my responsibility, but I'd like someone else to do it to see how it goes.
See how it goes. Yeah, all right. 2 other little bits that have come out since stavn is no longer over there at Big, and they said that he's gone to another team. Did I read that rightly? This week we have transferred stavn to a new organization. Okay, well, we'll see where he ends up. I think he just had a kid as well, so congratulations to him. And the other piece of news was Striker returns to Apex for a short-term deal. Is he going to in-game lead?
I don't think so after last time, to be honest.
Who's going to in-game lead? It's not going to be Jacob. Not going to be Nork.
Didn't say it. Do you know Striker?
I don't know. I can ask.
Surely it has to be him. Who's going to do it on the team? Sense is the new kid on the block, right? He's coming from the academy.
Then, well, okay. But if he's only there for the short term, like, do you feel like
people are saying Sense? Hold up. People in chat are saying Sense. Why are they serious? Are they serious? Really?
Because said it in his video log.
Is chat trolling us?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch that.
I don't think chat is capable.
Sense was the in-game leader for their academy. Okay, all right, fair enough. There we go. Okay, we have the news.
Fallen marriage. Talk about Fallen getting married.
Congratulations to Fallen getting married.
That's actually awesome. Like I saw some videos. They see some videos on Twitter. They're like there's some singing, Fallen on a guitar. It's vibes. Really looks amazing, actually. I wish I was his friend and not blocked on Twitter by him, so I could be there.
Oh, you still blocked?
Yeah, but he's he probably doesn't even know because he always says hi when we see each other. So,
but Fallen's a nice guy in person. Well, he's a nice guy most of the time. You guys just upset him. You wrote an article. You know, that's the...
No. It was just about Fallen never beating Gobby. It is what it is. Still hasn't.
and never will from now on. Never will. All right, that's it for the recent news. Let's keep going forward. Okay, let's bring up some conversation about the award show. So tonight, when does the first individual of the top 20 drop? Is it in 7 minutes? 7
minutes, yes.
Okay, so maybe you could tell us who it is, Striker.
I will tell you in 7:59:59.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll keep your eye on that clock. So yeah, it kicks off tonight. What was that, Lukas?
Or maybe we run ads now, and then we're back just in time to go into this whole topic. What do you think?
Yeah, do that. All right, that's a good idea, Prof. Lukas, roll the ads. We'll be right back.
It's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, good vibe.
Best esports odds. VIP program and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Do you want to change your boring old skins for awesome new ones fast, without losing a lot of value, and without the risk of getting scammed? Go to tradeit.gg and safely trade your items within 60 seconds. Just select which items you want to trade from your inventory and choose whatever skin you want from Tradeit's inventory. Click Trade, verify the trade on Steam, and you're good to go. With the biggest inventory available for the lowest trading fees on the market, tradeit.gg is your go-to whenever you want to play with new skins.
At number 20 is... We'll have to wait 5 minutes, everybody. 4 minutes now. 4 more minutes. Just 4 more minutes. Yeah, but we may as well pick up where we left off. So, Striker, it all kicks off. There's probably been a lot of work. You're doing all the interviews and stuff. Is there anything exciting that you could maybe whet people's appetite with this year to look out for? Is there anything done differently with the top 20 other than us starting earlier?
Just had an earthquake.
Oh.
Like,
damn.
Whoa.
Yeah, your camera just shook a little bit.
Yeah.
Like an actual earthquake, or is it just...
No, it's an actual earthquake, bro.
Oh.
It's actual.
Right. Well,
let's go on.
Let's look it up
to see.
Yeah.
Breaking news. What the fuck?
Earthquake.
Live and direct on a podcast.
Croatia.
A 2.7 magnitude earthquake.
There you go. Not that crazy.
No, that can't be right. This got the time as 12:32 a.m.
No,
this can't be today. What's going on here?
We'll see. Probably needs like a few minutes.
Yeah, it probably needs to update. I just put in the 29th of December. That's 2020. This is a different earthquake. This was like a bad earthquake. I'm closing. I don't want to look at earthquakes. Prof, I hope that you're okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Striker, anyway, anything that people can get excited for out of the norm this year with the 2020? The 2020. I
would say
the top 20. The 2020.
I would say the top 20 is more or less the same. I think the awards show in general, that's where like there are more changes in terms of that. Prof is better acquainted with that, but I mean we had the community awards that are still being voted on. that we added from last year. We never had any like community decided categories. And I mean, for these, we have the event of the year, streamer of the year, creator of the year, talent of the year. Still 2 days left or something, Prof?
No, tonight.
So that's the community vote.
Tonight. Okay, I thought it was still. Oh, okay. I thought it was until the 29th for some reason.
No,
wait,
27th.
so
Okay.
Tonight they close.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't do any shameless self promotion.
Well, you have.
There you go. Maybe you have
4 hours.
Four more hours.
4 hours.
There you go.
All right, 4 hours to do some shameless. But my mum's in bed. She won't be able to vote. She won't be awake.
Well,
in
she
time.
also has to have like a at least like a few months old HLTV account or something, or like at least that was created before the voting
Can
started.
I vote for myself?
I mean, nobody can stop
Wait,
you.
it says vote has ended.
No, it hasn't.
Has it?
Am I looking at the wrong thing? It says vote has ended.
You go into the streamer of the year that's pinned at the top.
Says.
No, vote has ended for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
says vote has ended.
I guess it has ended.
It's all over. I didn't do.
You wanna-
What a
fuck. No shameless self promotion. I
Very
didn't even.
anticlimactic.
Yeah, I fucked up. All
Well,
right,
I can say
Here we go.
one category was extremely close. It was 20 something votes difference between the first and second place.
Oh no! If it was me and I didn't do any, fuck! I've really dropped the ball here. So, event of the year, streamer of the year, creator of the year, and talent of the year. I mean, interesting to see what people think was the event of the year, because recency bias tends to play in a lot with that, like an awful lot with that. So, what was the categories? What was it for available for that? It was Katowice, the Paris Major, Cologne, Sydney, CAC, the Fall Finals, and Alyssa Masters Espo. That made the list. Interesting. What were the criteria for people for the events to get selected?
So we had to like figure out how to do these things, because like obviously we're gonna give the community the right to vote, and then whoever votes gets the most votes wins. But we needed to kind of cut down the list to something reasonable. So essentially, what we did for the events is we looked at arena events only, because realistically those are the best events. And then we looked at the best like S tier events from all of the TOs, and we tried to limit to 2 per TO. We did include like Sydney as well, because it was like the first CS2 event.
Okay.
And we went like the 2 biggest in terms of like viewership. So we used like esports charts to find like which were the most viewed essentially events, because the most viewed, most popular, best essentially, it doesn't always need to be, but you know, it's a good rule of thumb, let's say, to find the best. And then we looked at the remaining arena events from like that are A tier on Wikipedia, from like smaller tournament organizers to include as well. And that was just CAC and Alyssa Masters this year. And realistically, Alyssa was a pretty good event in terms of like, what is it going to be the event of the year? Maybe not, but it's definitely were in the consideration that people should be able to vote for it, right? So essentially, just deciding these criterias to get the nominated even talent and everything is kind of tricky, and is something that we'll probably tweak for next year as well. Like this year, for example, Harry and Hugo didn't make the cut, because we were like, okay, let's look at the people that attended the most S tier events, because they should be the best. And they essentially didn't work anything since Pro League, right? So then they fell pretty low on the list. But Pro League is like 5 weeks, so maybe that's not really fair at the same time. So we're probably gonna do some adjustment to that part of it too.
Okay. And number 20's just dropped. It's Twists, coming in at 20. I did him as 15, so I'm fucking 5 places off the mark there. That's kind of a bit outlandish. But it's quite difficult, Striker. A lot of people are having conversations. Obviously, you can't say anything. Obviously, you can't give away any details of what's going to be coming up over the next couple of weeks. But there is a bit of discourse out there of people having a tough time deciding who's going to be where, especially from about that 15 to 20 mark.
I can tell you, like, I can say this because it's like it's not really revealing anything, but like for the discussion that we had, like for the first, like to get these first few names, we had about 12 names in consideration, like a range of 12 people that we were considering, like whether they would be making it in for the 20th spot or not, you know, like something like that. So like that that was a really big discussion. Like since then, it's actually been much easier just because we actually figured out who are the people who made the top 20. But like the first part of it was very, very extremely difficult, and I can see why. Like we also had a rough time with some of the ones that that like didn't make it in the list in the end. This is all going to be coming out like once it's obvious. But I think we're making it part of the award show where we're probably going to be revealing like the extended like top 30-ish of people that make it just outside of that. Yeah, exactly. True. So I guess we're going to be doing it as part of that. At the moment, I can't really say anything because I don't want to give away anything that's who didn't make it, because that's going to give away who did make it and all that stuff. So yeah, you're going to have to wait for that.
Cool. Okay. Just quickly, for people who might be interested at home, if you haven't voted now, you've missed out. So for the Streamer of the Year award, Bystacks, Flom, Goles, Isaac, Jaxi, Loba, Onapixel, Olaf, Root the Gamer. That's not a bad name at all. And Trilix. There's a couple of names that I've never even heard of. I guess they're for different language streams, stuff that I wouldn't be tuning into. So
exactly, you wouldn't be watching the Turkish stream, for example. I don't think you have any interest in watching a Turkish stream. So
I don't think I've turned one of those on.
Yeah, that was also like the creator and streamer were the most tricky ones. We partnered with Stream Hatchet to get some essentially analysis of like all of the CS creators, like YouTubers and Twitch streamers, to have a list of, let's say, top 100. And then we went through that to look at, are they actually CS creators or not? I know some people have been kind of complaining that people on the list are not really esports focused, like even 3Clicks Philip or whoever we had on as the YouTubers, but it wasn't our goal to have only esports creators and streamers there. Essentially, it's as long as you're Counter-Strike related, that's good enough, because essentially the part of the community award is to kind of expand the reach from just super hardcore esports that we are doing at HLTV in general, right? So that's why some of the names, the Thorens and Richard Lewis and Launders, like they literally were not in the top 100 of the most watched people, on the list. So it didn't really make sense to have them there. And HLTV's YouTube wasn't either. So how these things are. These people are much bigger and have like huge audience that I think it's fine to recognize as well, because they are the kind of the funnel for people to get into where we are.
Like War Owl and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're good like entry-level videos for people.
Exactly, like watch some War Owl videos, and then you're like, this. Maybe I watch, a SPUNJ video or a Sean Gears video, and then you go deep down the rabbit hole. So yeah, I think it's also okay to give recognition to these people, right?
Yeah. Okay. And the panel awards. So this came out. What was it? Yesterday or was it today?
Couple of days ago, even. No, yesterday.
I was traveling when it happened. So the nominees for those. So this is essentially where there's been a bunch of people, and you guys actually tweeted out the list of people who were involved in the voting for that today. Was it an article? One of the two. But there was a lot of individuals out there who were upset, like at names missing, and didn't realize that a lot of this. I think there was only 5 people from HLTV who even had a vote. The rest is like players, coaches, members of talent, stuff like that. So I know that the AWPing one was at least stirring up a lot of conversation. People saying, well, where is Sampaius? Why is Brokey here? Because for the AWPer of the year, it's between Brokey, Monacy, and Zywoo. I saw a bit of discourse around that one. Was there any others that I know that there's a bit as well about the highlight. People are like, why the fuck is Monacy's Deagle round here? So there's a bit of conversation around a couple of them, but that's the thing. I guess you've got a large group of people who have put in their votes, and people don't even sit there and read properly, right? Because it's quite clear that this is not just like a HLTV selection. This is from a broader audience that's narrowed this down.
I mean, it's literally from the people they have the highest respect for, like the players. So it's kind of funny when they're like, who the fuck voted for this thing? It's like, it's literally your favorite player voted for this guy. If your favorite player didn't vote for Swanee to be, coach of the year. So I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I've got the list here.
You can.
Let me just give it to Lukas. He can bring it. Do you want me to read it out? I can. I guess for our audio only listeners.
Okay, you can read it out.
So team representatives, Alex for Movistar Riders, Apex for Vitality, Ash for Gamer Legion, Blade for Na'Vi, Blame for Astralis, Cadian for Heroic, Dustin for VP, Elise for Complexity, Hobbit for Cloud9, Hooksy for G2, Jerry for Fours, Crimbo for Big, Jacob for Apex, Mezzy for Fnatic, Rez for NIP, Rops for FaZe, SDY for Monty, Snappy for Ents, Cyclone for Mouse, and Yukinda for Liquid. And then you've got on-air talent, Blair, Bubsky, Kassad, Launders, Maniac, Maui, Moses, Pimp, Sponge, Y&K. And then the HLTV staff involved, Striker, Lukas, Note, Mira, and Nero. So that was the group of people who all submitted votes. And that's kind of how it's all turned out. Should we go through, Lukas, if I give you the link, can you just whack it up? And I guess we can show the people who were nominated, or the top 3 for each field. Here it is. Just we can whiz through those. Sorry, Striker, what were you going to say?
I don't know.
I jumped in. Yeah,
I have no idea. I have no idea what I was going to say.
Chad, so aside from the Sun Pius thing, what are your takeaways from the results? Any surprises?
I think the coaching one, but I sit here and I go, who the fuck did I even vote for the coaching one? Like I'm scratching my head. I didn't do the thing where you could select at the end and it shows and it'll send you an email on who you picked. But looking at this here, like for coach of the year, I think Swanee should probably be there, but I don't know.
You know, he would be there if people
voted for him.
More people voted for him. You know how it is. So, do you want me to find your results if I can?
Yeah, Well, that's the thing. I was thinking, fuck, how badly did I fuck this up? I'm curious as to what I would have put. I don't think I would have put Cyclone above Swanee. Maybe I did.
Let's go, Chad. Let's
go,
Chad.
And here we go. You're gonna do me like this live and on air.
Where is this?
I think the Zywo highlight's the best highlight, though. I think that's what I put as my number one.
The 1v4?
Yeah. I think it just, like, the problem that I have is if we're just doing a highlight based off flashy nature, that's one thing, but that's never been Counter-Strike. Like, there's been some really sick-looking eco bashes in the past, but I'm not really super excited about eco bashes, right? I'm more excited about, like, the context of the clip and outplaying and the clutch, you know. What did I put, Prof?
You put Zonic 1, Saw 2, and Swanee 3.
Okay, so Swanee's there. Probably should have had Swanee. But I think the problem is like when I should have put him Swanee as 2, shouldn't I? That could have been the deciding vote. I should have put
a lot
Swanee
of people put, you know, I actually can't say. I'm gonna
yeah, don't dox everybody.
I'm gonna leak something.
You can do me. All right. Let's put Lucas, you got the link, and you whack it up so we can show everybody. Okay, so give us a scroll down, mate. Give it a bloody scroll. Here we go. AWPer of the year. So it's gonna be between Brokey, Modesty, Zionwoo. Next one. In-game leader of the year, Apex, Carrigan, Snappy.
I think that's like a pretty strong lineup, definitely.
Opener of the year, Nico Rain, Exertion. I saw people discussing Nico being an opener as well. Closer of the year, Frozen, Robson, Spinks. Surely Spinks, I don't know. Anchor of the year, Flames, JKS, Magisk. And coach of the year, which we were just discussing, Saw, Cyclone, and Zonic. So that's, and then the highlight of the year. So the highlights are Cadian's 1v5, Monacy's Deagle, Top Banana, and Zywo's 1v4, which was pretty damn swish. So that's that. Those were the panel
I think
awards.
all 3 highlights are pretty good, like in different ways.
Yeah.
Like,
for me, I mean, Cadian's combines kind of the flashiness with, well, maybe not so much flashy. Like it was kind of slow, I guess, in that sense as well. So, I mean, yeah, I don't remember how I voted that. I know that I didn't have the Monacy one even in my, like, when we did like the original kind of what we would send out to the panel.
Oh, really?
Because I think I didn't even have it in my top 10 just because it's against Eco.
The Flames highlight was pretty sick for me.
The Flames was a really good one. The Mirage one where he's just like drive by shooting like towards connector and stuff like that. That was a really cool one. I think I put that as like my number 2 at like in the original, like whatever, like the super wide selection that we had originally. Also the Nerds one, that's like really quick from the same position as well. Yeah, exactly the same one. I had really high up. Zywo one just because like it's also the major, you know, like you have to take into consideration like where it happens. Like that's a really cool one. Cadian's one against Vitality, the 1v5 is really cool. So against a really good team, good tournament, you know, all that stuff. Like it ticks a lot of the boxes. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's hard with the highlights though because
I mean different
people's pickles.
That is the problem. Like you have 35 people and all of them will have like slightly different criteria, right? Like some of them will look at like, okay, when did this happen? Like that's the most important thing, you know, like if it happened like in the final of the major, that's going to have like huge impact, you know, compared to like Monist. I don't know if it was actually 4 groups or whatever. I don't remember when where that happened. But whatever it is, like you have like a full group highlight that is like omega sick, but it's like it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, so like that's that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like that's the where the context weighs into it. So yeah, all right. Well, we wait and see. The award show not too far away now. 13th of January. So we're swiftly approaching. Anything people should know about that, Prof? It was 17 days away.
Well, we have some cool stuff still cooking that people know when they come there or when it's live on stream. But we have some cool stuff in preparation. A lot of cool people coming. Almost like 500 people confirmed, which is going to be a lot, right? And
that's sick.
I think it's going to be a really enjoyable evening. Just having so many cool people at one spot, having some drinks, chatting. Doing stupid stuff and
so here's my question, and I don't want to toot our own horn here, but is that the biggest Counter-Strike related event that's ever happened?
How do you mean? Like in terms
of 500 people?
I mean, I don't know who
that is a lot of people.
Does events like this like what other event is it comparable to? So
but that's my point. Like normally you would have these at 16 team tournaments or whatever. Like it's huge, right? Or like 24 team, like if you consider the major, but that's like in players alone, and coaches, that's like 144 people, right?
Yeah.
So if we have 500 people that are all related in some way to Counter-Strike, I think that's pretty huge.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, look forward to that. 17 days time. All right, let's jump into Lukas. You have to dust this button off, mate, because we don't use this one very often. So make sure you get out the big red button. Are you ready? Let's go to Playtime. All right, we're back. And we don't come here too often, but as we mentioned at the start of the show, this is going to be a bit more of a conversational episode. So we've blown through the recent news. We've discussed what we needed to do. We touched on all the goods with the award show. Top 20 has just kicked off today. You can keep following that every bloody day of the week. And, I think what I want to do, I know we have Vox Pop first, but could we start with Skinionaire, Lukas? Would that cause any issues? All right. Well, let's start with Skinionaire. Okay. All right. We're going to jump into Skinionaire. Who wants to be a bloody Skinionaire? Brought to you by Trader.gg. The lights dim. The questions are intense. And this week, 5 from 5 is all but a guarantee. I hope everybody at home is typing Trader in chat right now.
I don't like this pressure. I don't like this pressure at all.
This is going to be easy. This is going to be easy as fuck. If you're in chat right now and you want to enter the draw to potentially win a $50 voucher, potentially, make sure you keep that. Type Trader in chat right now. That's essentially your raffle ticket. If you spam it lots of times, it's more entries. Hashtag that's not true. Once is enough. But keep going. We like the interaction. It's better to show our sponsors that lots of people are chatting. So just keep spamming. All right. Prof, Striker, the two of you can work in tandem here today. Are you ready to kick things off?
Of course. Yep. And Striker, remember, send the link. And Striker, remember, pressure is all in your head.
That's true. That is very true. All right, here we go. Question number 1. Who wants to be a Skinionaire? Brought to you by Trader.gg.
Lukas sent the link. He copy pastes enter chat message. And presses enter.
He's trying to add to the pressure here. He's trying to add to the pressure. Okay. All right, Lukas, throw us into question number 1. While clawing their way back from 217th in the world, EG built a talent what? Farm, circus, pipeline.
Pipeline.
Question.
But the problem is the problem is is this what they called it, or is this what they built? Is this what they built?
See, there's no tricks here, but I'll let you guys try and put yourself into a bit of a corner.
I lock in pipeline. Even though what did they say on Wikipedia? This contribution has been contested or something like that. I think I'll put that in.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We're going to lock in C, pipeline. The correct answer is, drum roll please, pipeline is correct. What a great way to start 2023 with EG winning a map against Heroic. That was bloody brilliant. That was fantastic. All right. Question number 2. We're off to a great start. Kassad wanted Hooksy to what after ruining Nico's chances to win the major? A, take responsibility and leave. B, never have been born. C, try harder next time.
This is really good stuff.
It's definitely take responsibility and leave.
Are you sure it's not try harder next time because he's still in the team?
I would say, now that he has not left. I think that's like number 2.
Okay.
That's number 2, and then number 3 would be never have been born.
That was
so
probably what Kasai was wishing when Hooksy was on the desk with him.
I'll go for A.
All right, looking at A, take responsibility and leave. And the correct answer is A, take responsibility and leave. Another great Twitter moment of the year. All right, well, hopefully now we can see the theme of where things are going. Question number 3.
I mean X.com.
Sorry, yes, everyone's favorite platform. All right, question number 3. Blair was asked to leave the studio by Hedger after expecting what from FlyQuest? To bring world peace, something, or a barista-made coffee?
What?
What was Blair expecting from FlyQuest
He expected something.
when asked to leave the studio?
But what did he expect?
At
Here we
least
go. We're going to do a
something.
dude, where's my car moment here. Dude, what's your mindset? Sweet.
Okay, let's go. Let's go for something.
And I'm going to let you know before the green light comes on, something is correct. All he
Let's
wanted was something from FlyQuest.
Did you see Blair's tweet like, "Oh, what was your favorite drama of the year?" And then just like instantly his face popping off.
That was
You
too
didn't think
good.
that one through. You didn't think that one through.
No, but that one was too good. Okay, we're 3 from 3 right now. We are smashing through these. Okay, question number 4. Another goodie. Nafany thinks it's cool to speak shit, but better to eat shit instead, speak facts, not lie, not speak at all.
Oh fuck! Oh, I don't remember this part.
I'm trying to remember that too.
This was in the copy. Well, no, it's a copy pasta now, but this
I
was
know
in reply.
that people shout their mouth without piece of info.
Yes.
I think it's better to not speak at all. What do you think, Striker? I'm not 100% sure on this one.
Oh shit!
I'm not 100% sure on this one.
I mean, it's got to be the third one.
Oh no!
I guess it's not.
Oh, no, I don't want to. The fact you guys are on the fence, I don't know what to say here.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trolling us. Oh no! I'm going for the middle one. I'm going for the middle
I have no
one.
idea.
Did I just get
I
debated?
also remember the other part, and just not this.
Because he said something about Shiro saying blah blah, so maybe that's why he said speak facts and not lie.
All right, well, we have looked in B, speak facts, not lie, and that is correct. I had to take away the little beak face that he did at the end because I didn't want it to be too obvious. But
Okay.
Nafany says, "Man, shout your mouth while you don't know a piece of info. Thanks. If your thinks being an analyst give you any possibility to talk shit about anyone or any team, better rethink about you as a person. It's cool to speak shit, but better to speak facts, not lie." Nafany, 2023.
It's
That's true. That is true. Because
I don't
he said
remember that part
The
at all.
original tweet was like a meme, something about like Shiro cried because something. It was like made up joke, whatever. So it makes sense. Adds up.
Yeah, so that's how that one unfolded. All right, well, we're 4 from 4, but only just as we head down the home straight into question number 5. The chance for a $50 voucher for trader.gg could be coming one of your lucky viewers' way in the chat, especially after the debacle we had with Launders and Moses last week. This would be very welcome in this limbo period between Christmas and New Year's. Let's do it. Question number 5. ITV removed Neofrag due to not seeing eye to eye on attitudes regarding how to make English tea, the 2024 US election, or inclusivity and equality.
You know, this is
Honestly.
like number one is actually a realistic possibility just because like we don't know what he said or what he did. Like this could be inclusivity. Like if he doesn't know how to make English tea, it's like fuck off. Like if you don't understand our culture.
All three are very serious accusations. I would
Indeed.
say. Very serious matters that should be taken seriously.
Seriously.
Especially the 2024 US elections. We know how that impacts everything. It's very crucial for everyone. But I think it was framed as inclusivity and equality.
Damn straight it was. I will give you the ding, 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 ding. And the 5 from 5, the confetti comes raining down. Roses are brought out for Prof and Striker. They have done it. They have returned the glory. What do you mean, Honor?
I
Oh,
lost
we
track
just
for a second.
we've returned the glory of Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire. The champions will lift their throne, crown, trophy, something for trader.gg, and we've done it. Friendly fob in the Twitch chat. They've done it. They've won. Our people will reach out to your people. Congratulations. That's a $50 skin voucher for you at trader.gg coming your way. So, yeah, that was my set of questions tonight, guys. What do you think?
I think there are bangers.
Oh, great.
Absolute bangers. I forgot that some of these things happened. How did you even find this? Did you go on Reddit and like how did you, or did you Google Twitter drama HLTV and looked at the forums?
So Blair made a tweet just the other day.
Oh.
So I was just combing through that, and then I was sitting there taking a shit, and I thought, what was some of the fun stuff that happened throughout this year a little bit earlier? And I was like, oh yeah, Neofrag got dropped from ITB after being on the team for about a month, and I was like, that would be fun. And that's a nugget that most people forget. So I thought that I would throw that one in.
He's
there.
back in Sinners, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
He is. So yeah. I didn't do the cultural impact question. I thought that one, that's a big one. We thought we'd leave that one out. But yeah, they kind of just, I went through, I looked at all the tweets, all the copy pastas, and ended up here. So yeah, that's that. And congrats to Friendly Fob. So I hope you enjoy that $50 skin voucher. Okay.
I think from this day forward, you are in charge of the Skinionaire.
Yeah, look,
more responsibility for chat.
I'm trying to do more. I am trying to do more. For the last bunch of shows, I've been taking away that responsibility from Prof so he can focus on important things. And actually, it makes much more sense for me as the primary host of the show to actually know what the fuck's going on. So it makes a bit more
reasonable.
sense. Yeah, it all seems very reasonable. So yeah, I'll be trying to handle those bits and pieces going forward, and we'll see how we go.
I have a question for the viewers. They can respond in chat or on YouTube when they do this. Would it be interesting to do like a Skinionaire, but after we finish, we have the option of like give away the skin or like bank it?
Oh.
And then like wait for it to like build up, and then it might be like
like a lottery,
200, 300, 500.
But the person who won would never. Would never get anything.
No, let's say we are answering the question. We decide if we want to give it away or bank it.
Oh, we decide.
Yeah, or whoever is the guest on the show that's doing the Skinionaire, and then it might, we build it up to, and then someone says like, okay, $500, and then they give it away. That's like a huge skin.
That could be kind of exciting. What about this? Well, we could spitball. I don't mind that idea. I think but we could maybe alternate weeks. 1 week, the person doing it decides, and then the next week, the Twitch chat get to vote.
Yeah, we could do something like that.
And then if like 51% of them decide, no, give it away this week, well then fuck it. They win. They get the opportunity. Well, I'm sure we could work something out. Something could be a bit of fun, but that's a cool idea. Yeah, not too shabby whatsoever. Okay, let's jump into our Vox Populi. This one's brought to you by 22Bet, getting the sponsor stuff done back to back. And this question was to do with, more things that happened throughout the year of 2023. Because again, this is our last episode of the year. We're kind of putting a bow on the year. And we were asking the question, what was the biggest moment for competitive Counter-Strike in 2023? And we could only put 4 options on a poll. So the 4 options that we found ourselves with were the CS2 release, the Vitality winning the major, Simple stepping down from Na'Vi, and the end of partner leagues. I don't think there's any surprise here, Striker, to see end of partner leagues at the very bottom, considering even though it was announced this year, it's not happening. Yeah,
Simple beat CS2 coming out.
Yeah, more cultural impact than Counter-Strike 2.
I think that's like Instagram, very heavily Instagram, because I saw like Twitter was very heavily CS release when I voted. So maybe that was early. I'm not sure though.
Well, this is look. I think this was your suggestion, Striker, because I put this in the group about like what we could do for the poll. We were trying to work out, and you suggested the Simple stepping down. I just had CS2 release and Vitality with the major. And you threw Simple's name into the hat.
Like my first idea was like the day that like all the shit happened, which was like Shiro stepping down from Cloud9, Simple steps down from Na'Vi. We also released the report about Wonderful joining Na'Vi at the same day. Like it was a fucking that was our best day of the year probably by far. And so that's why I was thinking, okay, that's probably the biggest one. And the second one close behind probably was CS release. So.
But it is kind of crazy that the CS release, which has the most knock-on effects to everything, only has 39% of the votes, while Simple has 44% of the votes, right? Like that's actually crazy. Like the CS2 stuff coming out not only changed the format of how we play the game, from MR15 to MR12 now. It's also on a brand new engine. It's come with a whole bunch of different things, like now with the way we do our loadouts. The game, I saw a Bubsky tweet today saying, he thinks that it feels 10 to 15% worse than CSGO, and I think a lot of people probably feel that.
Honestly, I take that. I think that's fine, because
that's fine.
The game, if it's only 10 to 15% worse, that means in a year we're going to be like probably better than we were, and we can also be a lot better in like 3 years because the engine is new and allows you to do a lot of things quicker and better than before.
We're suffering in the short term for the benefit of the long term.
It was always gonna happen like that. I still think could have been better to start off, but I don't think if that's like accepted, let's say number 10 to 15% worse. I think that's pretty okay.
I'm interested to see what people genuinely like. This is the thing. I think I mentioned this on the last episode when we had Launders and Jason here, but it would be interesting to hear like from the pros, like candidly what they think, because those are the guys who are grinding the game, trying to find the detail. And the thing is, and we have this problem in general because they're the ones who are playing and just trying to win a game of Counter-Strike, right? Whatever that is determined by. So they're looking for each and every edge they can find, whether or not they're looking for like what is best overall for the experience. Same with like formats and that type of stuff, right? They don't tend to think about that as much as like the pundits do. You don't get many players at all unless you're like a Carrigan or a Snappy or somebody like that. I remember talking to like people like Flusher in the past. I'm like, Flusher, what do you think of the format? He's like, mate, I don't even know. I'm just here. I'll just play the game and then play the next one if we win or if we lose, right? So for the players, the game itself is the thing that they're dedicating a lot of the time to. And I'd be interested for them, like how much of it is like residual, or I wish it was like this because it was like this in CSGO. Because I was like that when it went from 1.6 to Source, or when it was 1.6 and Source going to CSGO. Like I had those feelings, I wish this was still like this. I wish we had that. And a lot of those things just either aren't or couldn't be. So yeah, I don't know. I would like to hear from the people who are putting a lot of fucking time into it on the day-to-day, how much worse they think it is, or maybe not even worse, maybe just different, because that's another factor too. Like the things will just be different because it's on a new engine. But it feels like they're just getting on with it. Like it feels like they're just playing. Like they're just, we don't see too many complaints, Striker. Are you seeing too many complaints out there by the pro players?
Not particularly. I think everybody's just kind of, I mean, it's also the break, right? So like nobody's really paying attention to CS2 at this point so much. But no, I think I think a lot of the issues are like things that people have already talked about before. And so like, like repeating all the same issues all the time, I think it's not going to really lead to anything. So I think that's just kind of why it's died down. But I don't think that the game is in such a terrible state anymore. So
yeah, I think some of the issues for people who have maybe more casual is not being able to have a lot of the other game modes that they might be playing and stuff like that, which hopefully will come with time, or I would expect to come with time. So I think the biggest issue is just like to go from where we were, which felt like the top of the mountain, like the pinnacle of, if we're going to talk esports in general, like what we had was the best of the best, obviously with some dramas, of course, it wasn't perfect, to where we are now, which is like dropping down and then having to start climbing back up Everest again. And that's obviously being reflected in player numbers and whatnot. We'll see once the major rolls around, right? Once they drop an operation, once they put some new skins in, once all those things pop off, we'll really see where it's at. I'm a bit surprised to see the partner league so low, but that doesn't surprise me, because I remember, guys, when we were doing this show, it was probably like 2 years ago now, maybe even more, where at the start of the year, I was just like, I remember I was talking about a blast groups, and I was like, well, if everyone's just okay watching exhibition matches and just that's just how people want to watch Counter-Strike, I guess I just have to accept that then. I remember saying that a couple years ago, and then it took like 12 months for people to cotton on to the idea that, hey, this is bullshit, and we're just watching the same teams play each other all the time, and that's kind of boring, and the dog shit teams still get to play for some unknown reason. And then they like caught up to that. And so I think there's obviously a bit of a time delay on that. But for me, looking forward, next year is going to be partner league still. But come 2025, that's really where I'm looking. I want to see what the landscape, the tail end of 2024 and the start of 2025 are really exciting to me. The major is the last event of the season come 2024. And we kick off 2025 with open slather again. And I've already heard that there are some TOs who want to get back in the mix, running multiple events within a year. I'm fucking down to hit this shit like it's pre-pandy, mate. Fucking sign me back up to the rodeo. Chatty B only got a couple more years of Counter-Strike commentary left in him. Let's go all the way in again. I'm down. Like, let's get all these TOs back. I want to see how far these guys can push each other as well, because that's something that we lack in these times without multiple different TOs is lack of competition. Luckily, Blast set a pretty good standard. And it's been, ESO always having to catch up to that. But yeah, that one to me, I don't know. I guess I'm looking at the broader landscape than a general viewer. I guess that probably makes sense. Yeah. Oh, anyone else surprised about the simple one being the top?
I mean, yeah, the partnership thing, people don't really, people care about like super hardcore, but compared to the rest of the stuff, it's not that big of a deal. CS will be CS. You watch the games, you tune in for your G2 versus FaZe versus Na'Vi versus whatever, and that's it, Yeah. For the average viewer, that's completely fine. And move
That's just
on.
the way it goes.
That's how it is.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that was the Vox Pop. Oh, Vitality. We didn't even talk about Vitality winning the major. I guess that tells you how big of a...
I mean, it's a team winning a major. Some team has to win a major.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess it is big as like ZywOo winning a CS:GO major, right? Putting his name in there in the hat or whatever, but doesn't really change anything in terms of like who the best in CS:GO were. I don't think so, but his legacy is pretty good, like one of the best still in CS:GO. And French people win a major in France. That's cool, but nothing. I don't think it made that big of a difference. It was hyped as the last CS:GO major, and realistically was a good, pretty good tournament. I don't want to say like, oh, it was amazing or pushed anything past to a new level, but it was okay. Had some good storylines. It definitely wasn't forgettable. I think like all of the underdogs making it through, like the heroic Gamer Legion crowd was good. The trumpet guy, legend, and some cool highlights. It's all in all pretty good major, but nothing that would be like, oh my god, this is the craziest thing ever that happened.
Sure. I think it's okay I think this is the thing, like where the level is at. It has to be, well, it doesn't have to be capped eventually, but there should just be a standard that's an acceptable standard.
Yeah, I think what was cool about the Paris major, that it kind of, I think that sparked the discussion of all of these partner events a bit more, put some fuel on the fire, because we saw so many of these teams making like playoff runs and like underdog teams. And it's like, well, maybe if these guys had more opportunities to play on, the biggest tournaments, we would have more of this stuff going on. So I think that was very, very important for Valve to see that and be like, we want changes. This is not the best. But I also think to some degree it wasn't completely fair towards like what ESL's format was, because it was still open enough, I would say, that all of these teams got chances here and there, but maybe some tweaking, but not, it wasn't the end of the world. I don't think it was like impossible to break through, because teams did do it, like Heroic, like Cloud9 or Gambit when they were Virtus Pro, that they all did it without any slots, right? They became top 5 teams for a while. So it's interesting in its own right.
I've heard some rumors where some of these TOs might keep, well, we heard from like Uli in the tweet talking about the rev share, but there'll probably be ways that they can like publicly incentivize teams to want to play in their events. I want to say circuits. I don't know if there's going to be circuits, but that way anyway, come 2025, it's just going to be a different way of trying to do those models, where it either has to be, because one of the things that Valve put out was it had to be transparent, right? Like it had to be public if there was any money changing hands for teams. It didn't say it couldn't happen. It just needed to be transparent. So I have to give another read up on that, because once we move, I want to kind of do a bit of a refresher. Once we move into 2024, I would probably do out some stuff with like a timeline of the events of the year, and we can do what we know, or maybe just the first 6 months, and we can talk through it and talk through the different ways that teams can qualify and everything like that, because I know some of that stuff's changed, and we didn't necessarily cover that off on this show because it's not pertinent at the time. But we can definitely look at that as we move into next year. All right, let's throw up viewer questions. And
do you want to, before that, just open up the link that I shared, the screenshot?
Oh, okay. Lukas, whack this one up. Oh, here we go.
This is we're just talking about like events that have a lot of players. This is Fallen's wedding live on Twitch right now.
It'd be interesting to see who didn't get invited.
I just saw Zeus was here on the screenshot, as you can see. I just saw Zach and Bolts and Vinny. Okay. And all of this crowd, it's pretty funny to see. So,
is it under the IRL section? I just opened that, and there's just a bunch of women not wearing many clothes.
Just chatting is the section.
Just chatting. Okay, hold on, let me find this.
GA Fallen.
Yeah, I should follow him on Twitch. GA Fallen. I do follow him. Oh, okay. It didn't pop up. Wow, look at this thing. There's 21,000 people watching this shit.
Yeah,
Holy moly.
People are writing my name in chat. Professeur.
Nice.
Professeur.
Okay, it looks like a nice day. It looks like a lovely day. Look at it. The sun's out. People are dressed up in their suits. There's a nice pink dress. Is that Goles?
That's him.
Is that an all black suit? Isn't that for a funeral? What's going on, Goles? This is a wedding. Come on, man. Oh, it'd be bloody hot to wear a suit as well. Oh, here he is. There he is, the professor. He's all dolled up. His beard's done. He's got his glasses on. Big smile on his face.
Damn! Imagine if we could have had a watch party. That would be banger.
Do some commentary on this shit. And there he is, Professor of Brazilian Counter-Strike, getting ready to walk down the aisle. Holy matrimony on the cards for today, as we see here. This brand of wedding. See if I can get some of my trademarks in there. No, that looks like it's fun. All right, that's cool. It's interesting to be streaming your wedding, but I guess Fallen is quite literally a celebrity there, so it makes sense. I don't think I'll be streaming my wedding anytime soon. Okay, cool. All right, nice. All right. Well, we don't have to directly go into viewer questions here. I just thought I'd whack that one up as that was the next. No, we can.
I just wanted to mention this while it was kind of trending, let's say.
Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. Well, people know where to find that if they want to watch that and listen to us at the same time. So I don't know if. We're back. Fallen in a 1v1 clutch. Yeah, interesting. Will there be a confirmed episode live from Katowice, Prof?
Well, honestly,
we've never done a live one from Katowice with a crowd.
We did last year.
Did we?
We did it like it was like 2 days before the playoffs, so not like one as usual because the venue was busy.
Yes. And we were in yes.
In the, what's it called? Królestwo, like Kingdom. Yes. That's what it's called. But it was pretty hard to get people, like unlike all of the other places. I think people in Poland are not super excited to listen to people talk in English, but also that date was not that great for like people that are traveling to Katowice. So I'm not sure what we want to do or not. Like just compared to other locations, it was the least interest, let's say, for the show. So
do you think if you reached out to somebody from ESL and you spoke to them, and what if we did like the morning of somewhere as people are starting to fill out the event?
Yeah, but these things
like
are
a
always tricky to let's say get done, because events like this have so many things going on and we are priority number 99. So then you kind of have to wait last minute until figuring out what you want to do. But maybe we could do something like, I was thinking maybe we do like a pre-sale, for example. We just say, okay, who is interested in coming?
If we hit this number.
Yeah, and then if people do it, then we find like a location and everything, and if not, then we just refund it or whatever.
That could be fun. That could be a good way to do it. Yeah, all right. We could look into it. Yeah, nice. Yeah, and I think if we got the advertising going a little bit, I know it's more work on you, Prof. Sorry, man. You got this whole award show to worry about. We'll worry about this after the award show.
Yeah, I guess that's the tricky part because it's like pretty soon after. So we need to be fast on figuring everything out, but we'll see.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, there were people like putting questions, and one of the ones which stood out, just general ones, and one of the reasons we're doing something a bit more conversational today as well, even though we've almost gone for 2 hours and we've done a pretty standard show, was people, and I know you guys have told these before, but there were some people who were interested in the origin stories of you two, how you kind of got involved in doing all this. Striker, I know you've told yours before. Do you want to go again, just for some of our listeners who haven't obviously watched every episode? And when I say obviously, they need to go back to episode 1 and start again.
Tell my origin story.
Yeah. How did you become Wolverine?
This is like a really hard time for me to talk.
Well, we can give
especially
it a Prof first. Do you want us to come back?
No, it's okay. It's
sign
more
language?
Like right
Charades.
now at this moment. Yeah, there you
go.
Okay. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I used to be an aspiring player like everybody, and who ends up in a job like mine in administration or writing or whatever. They want to become a player first, then they realize they probably aren't good enough for it. It wasn't necessarily the same case for me. I actually did like go somewhere, not like I did international events or whatever, but like locally it was pretty okay. Just had an opportunity to start writing first in Czech. I was still playing at that time. This is like 2010, 2011, I think, when I started writing in Czech. I was still playing and writing on the side. I was doing like some admin stuff for tournaments in the local scene and stuff like that. Then transitioned into writing, was still playing, but then in a couple of years I was like, okay, my English has always been pretty good. HLTV has always been the biggest thing for Counter-Strike, even back then, and so like if you wanted to write about Counter-Strike, that was the place to go if you wanted to write in English. So I just like put in my name. Like I literally just emailed Peter about like if they're looking for a writer. There was like a super mega outdated page on HLTV with like, we're looking for writers. And I was like, okay, I saw this. Like, is this still relevant? He's like, no, it hasn't been updated for like 3 years, but we'll
the
still
worst
give
thing
you a
is
shot.
this has been a thing until maybe like a year ago.
I think
feel
so
like.
too. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean that's kind of how it started. I just got in touch with Peter at the time, who was kind of like leading the writers as well. He decided to give me a shot. I just wrote like a test article for him. He says like good enough, and then like in the first couple of years, nothing really much happened. I was also kind of lazy at the time. Didn't really put a lot of. I didn't have a big ambition about this. I just wanted to write in English. But like at some point, I just got the opportunity to go to the first major, which kind of like was a big turning point for me in HLTV, because I mean that's kind of like the first time that I actually proved myself at HLTV. Well, even though it was kind of like a year into my tenure there, because I joined like beginning of 2013 and the major was like December 2013. I went there. I guess the guys were happy enough with the work that I did there. I wrote some post-match articles from there, and I didn't do any interviews at the time yet. But I guess I did good enough work for Peter to decide, okay, like this guy's worth something. And over the next, I don't know, a couple of years, I started traveling more. It also like evolved into like full-time job for me, because at the time, like in 2013, nobody was really getting paid any full-time salary, even from the people that I think Luis and Lurpis and whoever else was writing for the site. I think they were getting like probably pretty low amount of money especially for where they were living. And nobody could really make a full-time living out of it until, 2015, when the boom of skins happened and like a lot of money went into the game. And that was the case for HLTV as well. Obviously, like the audience improved exponentially, and from that obviously comes some money, and that allowed me to go into full time in like early 2015. And by that point I already was at like 4 majors, I think. No, 2 majors, I think. No, it would have been 4. It was the entire year 2014 plus the first one. But like this is where I started writing full time. I started traveling a little bit more and went to more tournaments. I started doing interviews at that time as well, and that's kind of how it went along, And since then, like I was traveling a lot. I was traveling to like at least a tournament a month. Did interviews there, was pretty much the main guy traveling, doing all that stuff. And that pretty much lasted until I became editor-in-chief a couple of years ago, and that's like where things shifted a little bit for me in terms of responsibilities, leading a much bigger team now, and just like kind of leading that expansion of our writer team.
I think it's important as well for these kind of stories, because I don't know how much you guys get this, but I get it every now and again in like emails or Instagram.
How do I start to work in esports?
Yeah, and a lot of people ask that question, and people are like, oh, how did you become a commentator? And it's like, well, fuck, like I'm not like a career commentator. I'm just a guy that played Counter-Strike professionally, and then I could talk a lot, right?
Different things, yeah.
Yeah, and then okay, so like it's not like I can give that advice to people, but I think for the line of work that like for a lot of the things, it's just doing something that you enjoy and then finding an avenue in. But for the article side, like you guys obviously hire writers. I don't want to say all the time, but the people are doing work out there, and they're putting out articles, and they're putting out their own information, which you can do. That's a great thing with the internet. You can make videos, you can do it. And then if they're doing good work and it gets noticed, then those are the type of people that I imagine you guys are hiring, right? Like it's mainly through community stuff. Yeah,
of course. I mean, for me, like, imagining myself like getting into the same kind of job these days, I think would have been a little bit more difficult, just because at the time, it was kind of like volunteer work. Like I wasn't expecting to be paid or anything like that. I was literally just wanted to write. And I think that's kind of what people are missing these days sometimes, especially if they have zero experience and like just want to get in. Yeah. Like you kind of do have to like, because there's no school, there's no, like, of course you can go to, like, you can have a journalism degree or something like that, but it's not like, it's still, you need to have a lot of knowledge about CS, and you have to have all that to go alongside like your skill in like writing and like the technical side of it, So like, first of all, like it is still a passion industry, and that's something that we look at as well. And that's something we consider. And so like when people come to me and like, how do I get into esports? I'm like, okay, if you want to start writing, like I can give you some tips. Like, how do I get into esports is an entirely different conversation, because you have to figure out what you want to do first. Like, what do you like? What do you like to do? Like, would you like to do admin work? Would you want to go to events and like be a player manager? Would you want to work as a producer on a broadcast? Would you want to write? There's a million things you can do in esports, and like you just want to get in because you like it. I get it, but there has to be some interest beyond that, Otherwise, it's like it is just for the career, not for the actual job.
And if
Yeah,
you're
some
going in it for the career, you're in the wrong industry. Let's be real.
That's the point. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's also something that is very clear from every time that like people who aren't necessarily grown into their positions, like they just don't last there or they don't fit there because they don't have their heart in it, right? And this is an industry where you do have to put in work extra, you know, like you can't just work from 9 to 5 because that's just not the industry. Like it's impossible. This is like tournaments are going on 24/7, all this stuff, you know, and if you want to be good at what you do, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices, you know. So like all this stuff, like first of all, you have to figure out that you really like it and what you really like about it, focus on that, improve on it, figure out like, okay, then you can look at what are the job opportunities in it, you know, like once you have some sort of something behind you, you know. So that's, I mean, that would be, I don't know if this is advice. I feel like I was rambling about like how people don't really take it, like people take it like a career, and that's not maybe the best way to approach it. But,
no, but I think that it speaks to the important thing that most of us would want to be able to do in life, right? Is do something for work that they enjoy.
Yeah.
Which I think that through video games, like people see, oh, you work in video games, that's cool. Video games is fun. It's like, well, yeah, it is. But a lot of people who work in the Counter-Strike space really, really, really love Counter-Strike. Like that's the main thing. And then from there, they've been able to make it work in a different way. It's been either something else that they're interested in that's adjacent to it, or they found a niche or something that they can do. And like, it's hard to just be like, oh yeah, just love it, because a lot of people love Counter-Strike, right? And are probably never going to have a career in it. That's another issue with it as well. Yeah, I feel like that's, I don't want to say it's bad advice, but it's kind of just the nature of the beast, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also sometimes like, you know, like never meet your heroes. That kind of works the same way in terms of Counter-Strike sometimes as well, because it's like, okay, like do you combine your hobby? Like do you actually want to combine your hobby, and do you make it a do you want to make it your job? All that stuff is like worth taking into consideration. I realize that I'm making it sound like I'm like unhappy in my job or something at this point, which is obviously not the case.
But you're just being you, which is realistic.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point.
I think the never meet your heroes thing just reminds me of Harry, aka Nero, at the Paris Major. I won't say what exactly, but every writer coming up has this experience early in his career where it's like, oh, I really like this player or team or whatever, and then they shit on you. They shit on you for some reason because they think, you know, you did a rude headline or you did this and that, and you're like, what the fuck? And you get that
realization, just like
realization is like, this is a job and they have their interests and I have my interests, and like I might like people and like players and have, you know, because if you don't like any players, then what the fuck are you doing, right? What do you like, right? But sooner or later it's going to happen and someone's going to be like, oh, this guy is like, what kind of shitty journalist is this? Even sometimes you might be wrong, oftentimes you're not. It's just you know how players react, because they said something and then they realize they don't really like how that sounds, so then they have to find someone else to be, you know, the victim for that, and find a scapegoat for it. I think that's part of the job as well. That happened. I think my first was like Existence at some event. I'm like, got called out super hard on Twitter, literally just quoting what he said. And don't worry, all of the fans will go on the player side as well. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, that always seems to be the case. But yeah, that's the way it's going to go, unfortunately.
Basically, become a player and have it great, because that's where all the money is. That's where all the fandom is.
I mean, that's if we could, the Striker, we would be players, but we can't. So that's how it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's your origin story then, Prof?
Depends on where you want to start and how much time you have, but I'll try to give like a 2-3 minute version of it. I think what everyone says is everyone that succeeds in Counter-Strike or esports, they say like they were lucky, and I also always think I was lucky, but probably there's a combination of luck and, you know, skill or dedication to working stuff. I just started playing CS. I mean, I played a lot of games with like a group of friends, and then when CS:GO came out, like maybe 6 months later, we were like, okay, let's just get CS:GO, and then we played like matchmaking for the first time. It's like, oh my god, this is insane, because before that we just played like 3v3, no op, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, just the classic like pub kind of Counter-Strike, and then that kind of triggered the exploration of competitive Counter-Strike for me, like just start of CS:GO late 2012, early 2013, and started watching like early NIP games and stuff like that. And from that, I was like, okay, I want to play some tournaments. There are no tournaments in Croatia, so you kind of hit up some people that used to do stuff in 1.6. We started running some like ESL Croatia Open Cups, started writing some articles about them, started running like finding some small sponsors, doing tournaments, doing our first LAN, commentating, starting like streams like 2015. Of course, I couldn't have a good enough internet to stream from home, so I would like pack my PC and go to my brother's company to like set up my PC there and stream from there every like Sunday and shit like that. So that was like 2014 to 2016, I would say. And then I finished college and I started looking for a job. And at the same time, like HLT was like looking for writers, and I had my CV, everything ready. I applied like 5 minutes after the tweets dropped, and like got an email next day to be like, okay, trial. And essentially the same thing, write a trial article. And it was like JW goes to NIP or something like that. I think that was the thing. And essentially, I think I came in as a replacement for Stitch, who was leaving at the time.
Okay. Meow.
Yeah, so I came in at that time, and it was a good time for CS. Like I got into traveling pretty early on, and I think in the next 2-3 months I went on like a 3-week trip in the US with Lukas for like E-League, two E-Leagues and ECS Season 2. That was like, it was pretty crazy and pretty intense. Good period, and wrote a lot of the top 20 stuff when that came around. Just grinded a lot early on.
It's wild, like when you reflect on, well, for you it's a little bit less than this, but for me it's essentially been like a decade. And maybe same kind of thing for you, Striker, right? Like you reflect on the last decade, it's like, holy shit, it's been like essentially 10 years. It's kind of crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and a lot of stuff's happened within that time, and we've seen a lot of good things happen and a lot of, well, I don't say a lot of bad things that happen. This is the thing. The lights are still on. Like our game is still here. Think about all the games and all the titles that you've seen come and go. Counter-Strike has been around forever. That's what makes this like such a fun game to be a part of, is all of the history. It's something that a lot of other games will never have. It's a lot of them will be fly by night. They come in, they're just promotional material for a developer that lasts a couple of years. They pump some money behind it to get a couple of extra dollars in fucking microtransactions. We have something that was a modification of a video game that people enjoyed playing in a certain format against each other, that there were tournaments run all across the world for fun with prize money, where there weren't salaries and shit, and that's gone on for the better part of 20 years. And then today we're talking, like, we're on a podcast that we do every single week, like, which is part of the biggest coverage website that has fucking insane traffic. And right now, at the same time, everybody's co-stream watching fucking Fallen, a personality through Counter-Strike, get married in front of 31,000 people on Twitch chat. Like, what the fuck has happened here, right? It's kind of wild when you kind of throw all those things into the mix, but we're and I think you use something there like lucky. Like, I think it's very fortunate to get to be in this space, and that's one of the things that I think can be hard for people to see the forest for the trees when they're in the grind. Like, especially players, if your life is like go from event to event to event and you're just grinding, like eventually it does grind down on you. But when you take a step back, and especially as you get a bit older and you get perspective of like what you're doing and how fortunate you've been. Man, like, I was a fucking plumber. I was going to work with my old man at 4 o'clock in the morning, digging trenches, right, in like 40-degree heat, and just that's what I was doing. Like, and then now I'm sitting here in this lovely little apartment that I have in Malta, and I'm, you know, talking with you lads. Get married. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So that's the origin stories. Lukas. He's unmuting. Here we go.
Hey gents, what event had the best catering? E-League?
We're the gents. Lukas, are you there?
Oh no, my mic is not working for that.
Nice.
So the stream can hear me.
All right, that's fair enough. He did unmute. Yeah, that's all right. Whatever. Stream can hear me.
There we go.
Okay. Well,
Hi,
we
guys.
couldn't hear you. What? Do you have an origin story?
The TLDR is I made tournaments for fun. Some guy who worked with the like Danish Dust 2 side was like, oh, this guy can help me do these tournaments I do. And I got hired with, you know, bad pay and had to work myself up. And one day I got offered full time, and here I am.
And there it is. That was a very quick TLDR. Thank you very much, Lukas. And now you're Martin's slave. All right, great. Well, that's Lukas's TLDR. If you want to be Martin's slave and be locked up in a basement in a server room, reach out to Lukas. I'm sure he's looking for a slave. But yeah, there's lots of different facets to all of this. What do we got in chat? Anything coming in? People, what do we want? Any questions you want? No, we're at the 2-hour mark, everybody. Slam them in now. You got any questions? You want anything? Do we have anything we want to talk about from the year that we may have missed, or anything that in recent times that we wanted to talk about? Anything you guys want to get off your chest? I want to tell Liam in chat it's Gasoline Grill. He's been asking all day about but don't go to Max, go to Gasoline Grill.
But the Max Chicken Burger banks. And Max supports esports. They support the Swedish Cup, so I have to give it to them. Okay. Where's our Australian baby, aka JKS, going? This is from Instagram.
I'm not talking about that guy anymore.
You can't talk about him anymore?
No, I'm not going to.
You're not? Okay.
I refuse.
Do you say too much?
No, like...
It feels like
people say that I'm talking about him all the time, but I have, like in last week's episode, I also said I'm not talking about him.
But then you spoke about him.
I think we just briefly talked about the roles on mouse. I was just talking from my knowledge of the positions that he plays and what mouse would be looking to fill.
And would they be looking to fill?
I don't.
JKS.
I think they're gonna. Well, actually, we stop now. We stop. No more. No more. That's all. That's all we say.
Has the Vitality era started? Well, it kind of looks like it.
Well, they are the front runners going into 2024 for sure. Yeah. They're definitely the front runners going into 2024. That's without a doubt. They're like the team to beat. And then I think we were talking about this last week as well. Then FaZe come in as number 2, and then after that, it could be anybody. Like after that, it's completely jumbled. I think you'd have a hard time doing power ranking for your top 10. There'd be a few names that you could throw into the mix, right? Like obviously Spirit are a team that's getting a lot of shine right now because of this Shiro signing alongside of all the donk hype. Do they creep into the top 10 just off of those two things alone? Like there's a lot going on there.
People are also like kind of like, I always dislike when people ask this question because kind of like whenever we look at an era, you know, we look back at it rather than we look forward on it.
Sure.
You know, just because like we only decided that it's an era once it at least is well on its way, you know, when it's already happened. Like okay, like whenever Fnatic were past their first year and we saw that they've won whatever 10 tournaments or something, like okay, like that's where their year began, you know, like we had the NIP era, now we have the Fnatic era. But like okay, Vitality won the last 2 tournaments, they won the major, they won Gamers 8, and they won Paris. Like they won the most this year, but were they super dominant? I wouldn't say that. Like not more dominant than like an SK of 2016, not more dominant than like Fnatic in like their later years where they kind of didn't have any or anymore, just had like a few tournaments in a row. Same thing with like a lot of these teams, you know, like is it more than FaZe, you know, who also had like 4, 5 like in a pretty short span, but we wouldn't call that an era, you know, because it's not long enough. So I think that's Vitality fall into that discussion at some like at this point, because I mean it's not long enough.
Yeah. Well, I think someone in chat saying if you look at all the eras, Astralis is the only ones who actually had an era. I think like that's probably a debate that you could have, right? And then he said the unless you call them a dynasty era, just gets thrown around. Yeah. I think that Astralis obviously is the gold standard for domination in Counter-Strike, and no one has come close to that. Like we're talking.
I mean, you would also like not consider Liquid's run an era, you know, for example, even though it was extremely dominant in like a 4 or 5 month span, you know.
Yeah, and someone else has said in here, NIP Fnatic, and it would be in the conversation. I guess like early NIP, like
it's not a conversation. I mean, come on, that's not a conversation. That's
not
obvious.
In terms
like,
of the competitive nature to an Astralis, right? But if we're looking at like over the history of Counter-Strike, NIP were the original, like they were the OG like team that you look at, and then Fnatic were kind of the next to take that mantle.
It's not. It doesn't even matter about the competition or whatever your criteria is. You know, it's like they literally won everything there was to win for a year straight. Yeah. Like you cannot not call that an era. Like that is an era. Whether you think it's an impressive one or not, that is their era because they won everything that there was to win in the game, you know? Like you can call it like the worst era of them all, that's fine. Like you can compare it to the other ones, but it is an era. Like that is not a discussion.
Yeah. What else we got here? Where is Rushley? Has he been kidnapped? What happened to Rush? Rush didn't want to work IEM Sydney because it was too far for him to go to Australia, so he hasn't done any events since Pro League, and I think he's back in the UK with his family for Christmas. That's what Rushley 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the Observer is doing. What else we got going on here?
When is Simple coming back?
Yeah, that's a great question. How long's a piece of string? That's a really difficult one for us to give an answer to. I have no idea.
Definitely nothing. There's no news about it. I don't think any murmurs or anything. There's nothing new to report on this. It's more like, let's wait and see.
Yeah, wouldn't you give yourself, if you're simple, until the end of the major anyway? Like, this is the thing. There'll be more roster changes after the major.
Yep.
So, like, unless you plan on, like, putting a team together right now and giving it a fucking crack, your best bet is to wait until the end of the major.
As if, like, leaving Na'Vi is real.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough. I see what you're saying there.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think the most likely thing is for him to come back to Na'Vi. That's like the simplest thing to happen. But it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. But I guess after the major is when he could assess his options the best, right? Because the landscape will be the most open at that point, so he wouldn't necessarily have to return to a Na'Vi at that moment.
Yeah.
So did I watch the Thorin Simple interview? No, not yet. I haven't watched that. I've been doing a lot of it's been Christmas time, been doing a lot of family. Well, yeah, you're doing a lot of stuff. I think a lot of people have been. I gotta spend some time. I think I'm gonna get back into the Counter-Strike tomorrow. I'm gonna start playing again tomorrow. I've been away from home for so long. When I say home, I've been away from my computer for so long. I've been in my home. So I need to get back on that grind and see how the game feels. I don't really want to give too many, broad sweeping opinions on CS2 at the moment because I haven't had an opportunity to play a lot since the last big chunk of updates. Are there any talks Belgium, Antwerp since it's a major was so successful? No, I haven't heard anything about that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that won't be the case. Do you think AI is going to affect the game at any point? Hopefully anti-cheat. Hopefully anti-cheat. That'd be nice if AI could come in and help us with, because it feels like there's a lot going on with the cheating stuff. I see a thread on Reddit every single day.
I mean, I'm sure there's already some sort of an AI that's working on, like, at least being developed, that's working on like win probabilities and what's contributing to wins, and that, in some way helping teams prepare better, being able to identify mistakes better, improve in general, like what improves their chances to win the match, all this stuff. I'm sure like AI is going to have a big impact on at some point whenever these tools are like being developed.
I know like Anders has some AI stuff with Skybox, right? In terms of the predictions, I think Blast uses that, but no, that's just something that just pops up. The thing that I think is really good is the Edge tool that they have. I don't know how much advertising of that they've done. It's like a team tool. I got to use a little bit of it during Pro League. So that's really cool. Like the way it breaks down strategies and stuff, it kind of makes things a lot easier to digest. So that's something I would hopefully excited to use a little bit more of. What else we got going on here? Bold predict. We'll do stuff about 2024 once we get into 2024 before the tournaments kick off. Hopefully, we should have time after the award show to be able to do some stuff with that. All right. Well, unless there's any more crazy questions or anything we want to talk about, how's everyone feeling? Everyone feeling good?
Feeling pretty good.
All right.
Good.
Well, someone was asking about 1 second.
Oh, let's go. Let's show your toys. Show your toys, Chad.
Someone in chat was asking about the freezer that I had, and I don't know which one. Was it this one that they were interested in? I think it was Cal Razor 3, or was it this one? But either way, I had these since I was like a kid, since like I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, watching Dragon Ball Z as a kid back in Australia. I don't know what the question was about them exactly. I don't know where you can get them, but they're very old. I brought them back. I brought a bunch of stuff back with me from Australia when I've come back the last couple of times, just for like memorabilia sake, make things look a little bit and feel a little bit more homely. Because that's one of the things. That's what happens when you go back and you spend 2 months in your home country and you kind of realize how fucking good it is to be around your family and friends, and everyone's getting older, and you've spent the last 10 years overseas. It's kind of a strange one. Kind of puts you in this weird fucking predicament where you're like, I love my job and I love what I get to do because Counter-Strike's fucking awesome and it's, been the biggest part of my life for the majority of my life. Yeah, since I was 14. So 20-ish years. And now you go, oh, shit, everything's kind of on the other side of the world. It's kind of fucked. I can see why people like Dexter and stuff would be wanting to go back to Australia. I can see why they would probably want to be doing stuff like that. Anyway. Yeah,
but then
close.
you have to travel for 20 hours just to reach a tournament.
Exactly. So. Yeah, it's definitely got its downsides. I'm well aware of the fucking downsides for sure.
The silver linings, man.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any parting messages? Striker, is there anything you want to say to the people at home before we say goodbye for the year?
No, I'm just sorry if I spaced out more than usual. I'm not feeling the best, so that's why.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. Prof, you got anything you want to say to the people at home?
No, been enjoying and also hating the discourse about the awards, not the awards show, but the awards itself. I think just hope people can have like 5%, like a grain of salt before they write stuff. It's just annoying. But at the same time, I know 90% of the comments that I read are people that really don't care and like don't want to put in any effort to figure out things, and we're just gonna like throw out the most random opinion, like as people are saying now, Twist needs to be top 10 or Twist needs to not be in the top 20 at the same time. It's like and everyone's super upset that whatever's happening. I just hope like people can be reasonable. I saw also Maniac getting assaulted on Twitter for like not putting in Sun Pius, which was kind of funny. That's just funny stuff. So I enjoy awards, but they also bring out sometimes the worst in people. Just like it's completely unreasonable reactions. That's it.
Okay, so leaving us on a bit of a message of, I don't know what that message is, Prof. I guess it's like you want to have hope in humanity. Yeah. But you're also a little bit disappointed in them at the same time. So I think that's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the beast. But all right, everybody, thank you for tuning in for another year of HLTV Confirmed. We've been fortunate enough to be doing this for quite a long time right now. And big shout out to our sponsors, as per the usual, for making this possible. SteelSeries, 22-bet, remember to gamble responsibly, and TradeIt.gg. But yeah, it's been another year of ups and downs of Counter-Strike. We've only had one major this year. We've had a brand new version of the game come out. Again, very fortunate to get to be a part of this. Got to go to the Valve office at the start of the year. It was like fucking Christmas. That was awesome. It was like all my Christmases coming at once. But I hope everybody has enjoyed another year of Counter-Strike. I hope everybody has joined another year of HLTV Confirmed. We wouldn't be here without those of you who tune in, who listen to this on all the different platforms. So those people who are here live, participating and supporting. We've got to do a bunch of live shows over the last couple of years, and that's been fucking awesome to see people in the flesh and just getting to see how much people seem to enjoy what we do. Hope we can do it to the same standard, if not better, coming into 2024. We'll try and be on top of things a little bit more. I'm going to take a bit more responsibility and see, if I can not fuck things up. So thank you again for watching. Really appreciate it. And hope everybody has had a great year. We'll see everyone in 2024. See you later.
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals, bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? TradeIt.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from TradeIt's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam, and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, TradeIt also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. TradeIt.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at TradeIt.gg.
It's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, it's a good vibe, God vibe.